This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The Board of Education is meeting electronically due to the local state of emergency as declared by Berrien County Board of Commissioners on March 24th, 2021. The public may participate in the meeting by joining the Zoom link listed above. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Upon prior request to the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodation for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in the meeting. Requests for special assistance may be sent to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 5:31 p.m. Our first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. As always, I'll ask that you all unmute and recite it along with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
of the
States
United States of
of
America,
America and to the
the
republic
republic
for
which we stand,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Secretary
Amen.
Triplett, can you please call the roll for attendance?
President Robinson,
Present.
Vice President Bradley,
Present.
Secretary Triplett, present. Treasurer Creighton,
Present.
Trustee Bonds,
Present.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Next on our agenda, we have approval of the agenda.
Madam President,
Yes, Secretary Triplett.
I make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay, and what is your suggested amendment, Secretary Triplett?
I have 3 items that at this particular time I would like to have removed from the agenda. H1A, H1F, and H1J.
Okay, can you repeat those, Secretary Triplett?
H1A, H1F, and H1J. From the Human Resource Division.
Okay, Liz, can you scroll down a little bit to that section? Okay, can you open H1A? Can you go down a bit? Okay, so this is the one that you were intending, Secretary Triplett? And then Liz, can you go back?
H1A, which is the literacy coach.
H1F,
H1F,
okay.
which is the assistant principal position at the high school.
Okay, and then pull up the other formula. Okay.
HJ, Dean of Students at Fairplain Middle School.
Okay, so Secretary Triplett has placed a motion that we amend the agenda. It would be removing H1A, H1F, and H1J. And we have reviewed which particular items there are. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Treasurer Creighton, I believe that we amend the agenda to remove H1A, H1F, and H1J. Questions, comments, and concerns?
Well, first of all, these items on this agenda were discussed in the HR meeting, and they were also discussed in the work session. And there were questions as it related to the legality of these positions. Also, there were questions about the hiring of an assistant principal prior to the newly selected high school principal being in position. And so we had those discussions in those in the work session, in the HR committee meeting, and we were supposed to get some report back and response back, and we have not received that as of yet. And so I am very concerned that if we move forward with these items on the agenda, that there might be a possibility that we're putting the board and the district in legal harm.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Triplett. Are there any other questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. For the literacy coach position, is that the position that has to do with the grant?
Dr. Townsend, are you?
So the
Can you
literacy
provide-
coach position existed in our district prior to the grant, but we did use that language in the grant of how we would use that position to support the grant. So there's no legalities there.
President Robinson.
You, 1 second. Dr. Townsend, were you
Okay,
done answering the question, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
So did I hear you say that it did exist? Because I was looking on the staffing sheet and that was the question that I asked last week. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is correct. The staffing sheet is a living, breathing document. That was a position that just was not filled. And we had an opportunity to fill that position. So that's not a newly created position.
Okay, because President Robinson, I'm sorry, I had a
You can continue,
casualty.
Treasurer Creighton.
I apologize. Yeah. So in our HR committee and also at the board table, our HR chief of human resources did let us know that that position, any position that exists currently and that was vacant, it will be noted on the staff listing. So I'm not sure if that's an internal error or what's going on, but that's what we were told. And also, we have not, I looked through the minutes, and we have not had a literacy coach position in several years. And so, again, I'm not, saying that, we cannot create a position, but I think the superintendent was informed that if he wanted to create new positions, and he also agreed in our HR committee meeting that if he was going to create these new positions as it pertains to the grant, that he would create them, let the board vote on them, and then fill them. As a trustee, I'm very uncomfortable, and as the HR committee chair, that we fill positions that don't exist in the district currently. And I'm not sure they're, I understand that that we have funding for them, and so I'm excited about that. But we still need to follow board policy in order to create these positions so that we're within our rights and not violating the policy. And so that's kind of just my stance on that. And then as it pertains to those other positions, I think, and I did look through the minutes, I think similar things, similar conversation is on the table, whether or not the position exists or does not exist. Again, on that staffing list right now, today, I know this is a living document, but even on there today, a dean of students, assistant principal position does not exist at our middle school. And so, I would be uncomfortable that we would transfer an administrator that's been here for several years into a position that don't exist. And, we can't say positively if she's going to, move forward with legal action because we're transferring her into a position that don't exist. And so as the HR committee chair, those are just my concerns, not who the people are, but necessarily if the positions are vacant or not, or even if they exist.
So I do want to share again, the literacy coach is not a newly created position. It's just been an unfilled position, very similar to the school information system job that we approved the candidate for a couple of board meetings ago. It just was unfilled. And now it's an opportunity to fill positions and ensure that we're able to support our students and enhance their education experience in Benton Harbor area schools.
Okay, so I have a quick interjection, and this is just for me, Dr. Townsend, asking you a clarifying question. I noticed that the hire date for the positions, the 3 positions being asked to be removed, are July and August dates. So if we were to remove these currently from the agenda, could what we could potentially do is review it at the June 22nd meeting, special meeting that's being called. I believe Ms. Gail had something else she planned to possibly present that day. And that may provide enough time for there to be clarification or, conversation regarding those concerns.
Ultimately, I mean, we can wait. I want to move on to continue to do the work of the district. But just for clarity, literacy coach is not newly created. Yes, it's mentioned in the grant, but it's not a newly created position. And with regards to the high school assistant principal job, that we interviewed and made a recommendation for hire for that specific position. That was a vacancy. I know we're referencing the staffing sheet, but for clarity, that was something new that this new board asked for. So it's just a living, breathing document, is not written in stone. So it is possible that you did not see positions on there that were not filled, and we didn't have the positions listed as a vacancy. But as a living, breathing document, as we're moving on, whatever we can do to ensure there is no confusion or uncomfortability at the board level, we're willing to do that. But I don't see the legality or the legal issues that are being expressed. I do not also see the violation of board policy because I'm not creating a new assistant principal position. I'm not creating a new literacy coach position, nor am I creating a new dean of students position. Those are existing positions in the district.
Madam President,
Secretary Triplett, you have the floor.
again, I don't think that it was all of my comments were heard to the end. I think this is something that we were, like I said, discussing in work session. Also, we discussed it in HR. And I think the most important thing is that there were some concerns about the policy and making sure that we were operating within the parameters of the policy. The superintendent and the HR office was to get back with us with the response, and we haven't received that yet. So I think that we need clarification, number one, on that. I have been in every HR meeting, and I did not know we have a right of assignment move to one of the positions, the assistant principal at the high school. That means that we only had one position, to my knowledge, and being an active member of the HR committee, we only had one position available at the high school for an assistant principal opening. And so again, with this, these concerns that we have, and as a member of the HR committee and the chairman of the HR committee have the same concerns. We have discussed it. This is not new. So I would like to move forward with us, possibly getting some more clarification so that we're moving in the right direction. I understand that we need to be moving, but we need to be moving with within the boundaries of policy. And also, I did express my concerns at the work session that I had never heard anything about hiring for that there were interviews or anything going on for the assistant principal position at the high school, because if that were the case, this discussion would have been held in committee. So from the HR committee meeting to bringing it before my colleagues on the board, and me not having any understanding, me never hearing anything about interviews or anything going on, the only thing that we were working on at that particular time was the hiring of the high school principal. So I would like for us to, I think the recommendation that you made for us having something, having a meeting, special meeting in June, and the HR committee having something that they need to add to that particular agenda. I think that would be absolutely amazing, so that everybody can feel comfortable with what is happening here. And we can continue to do the work and move expeditiously, because we worked hard last week in our work session. And we need to be able to keep on moving and going forward. Thank you.
Dr. Townsend, I believe you had a response you wanted to
Yeah, I do
provide.
want to share that. We did share on Saturday at the work session an email from our human resources attorney to the school board, which was privileged and confidential information of the concerns that were brought up. Additionally, yes, with regard, like we're in the grind every single day, interviewing, looking to fill positions. So it is possible with a transient workforce that we have that we may not talk about every position that we're hiring for. The reality is we started this academic year with 2 assistant principals at the high school. And we're filling both of those positions right now. And it's my job as the superintendent to ensure I can increase academic achievement and give our young people the education experience that they deserve. And this is the move that I'm looking to make to ensure we have a solid high school. I shared previously that the principalship at the high school, we've had 10 principals in the last 10 years, 6 principals and 3 interims. I have to get this high school on point, and I'm a former high school principal. So the recommendation that I'm making to the Board of Education is to approve positions to make sure that we can have a great education system for our high school students and the greater Benton Harbor Area School District. I'm going to do whatever the board asks me to do, but this is a recommendation that I stand on.
Treasurer Creighton, you have the floor, and then after Treasurer Creighton, Trustee Bonds.
Yeah, I guess for me, I am choosing to pause. It is one of our norms, but I am feeling a little uncomfortable with the amount of aggression right now because we're simply asking for board policy to be followed. I'm not aware of a legal letter that was received, and if I, looked over that. I apologize in advance, but I think it's fair to say as the HR committee chair that there are a lot of discrepancies in the conversations and from meeting to meeting. And the facts remain the same that we have. I'm not saying that I'm very grateful that we found a good candidate for the high school principal position and possibly the assistant principal position. My concern is that we have one position open at the high school under assistant principal, and to fill it twice would be a violation because only one position is open. And so that is my concern. If there are other plans being made to move forward, I just think from a policy standpoint, we need to work those things out in a committee meeting or in a special meeting so that we then can legally move forward. So I'm not asking for changes and plans to be altered, but I just want us as an HR committee to make sure that we're doing it within our policy. And this was not something that was just asked today. It's been consistently asked in the HR meeting. Dr. Townsend, the superintendent, and the HR committee lead also assured us that these changes would be made and noted so that we can get whatever we needed to move forward legally. And so for me, I'm just standing on policy. I don't have a problem with filling the positions, but no matter, what we do, we know that haste is the waste. And so we can't move forward hastily just, to fill positions when we do have policy. And we're the movers and the shakers of the policy. So we just have to make sure as the board that we're doing this within our policy. Because again, Dr. Townsend, the superintendent, is our employee, but as a board, we are the protectors of our district and of our policy. So I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything, but I am standing on, we have to make sure that we're legally following the board policy that was adopted for our district so that we won't have any legal issue or liabilities moving forward.
Okay, so before I jump in, before anyone else goes, I just want to jump in to clarify that the opinion that Dr. Townsend is referencing is the one that I emailed the board, I believe around 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. So that's the opinion that he's referencing. Trustee Bowens is next in line. Dr. Townsend, I think you might be trying to respond to something maybe Treasurer Creighton said. So I'll allow you to jump in and respond. And then next is Trustee Bowens.
Yeah, I just want to know specifically, it's my job to implement policy. I want to know what specific policy is being violated. I'm asking for board approval for the hiring of positions. The assistant principal role, there were 2 at the high school. I'm swapping 2 positions. The high school, the individual that served at the high school, I'm moving to the middle school, and the individual from the middle school, I'm moving to the high school. I'm asking for permission to do that. It's in the best interest of our students. So please, specifically, I would love to know the policy that's being violated, because I'm asking for board permission to make these changes as a district, but I'm done there.
Okay, Trustee Bowens.
I would like to
Was
call
I
for the
supposed
vote.
to respond?
We're gonna go to Trustee Bowens.
Oh, because he asked the question, what policy is being violated?
Yes, ma'am. If you have it, go ahead.
Okay, again, it was a policy that was referenced, those 3 policies that we discussed in our retreat. Again, an assistant principal position don't exist at Fairplain. That's the only thing that I'm saying as it pertains to those 2 positions. Can we legally, transfer someone into a position that don't exist? One don't exist. So we can swap an administrator into an open position, but the positions aren't open.
Okay, Trustee Bowens.
I would like to call for the vote.
Okay, so Trustee Bowens, you'd like to call to end discussion and.
Yeah, in for discussion and call for the vote, sorry.
Okay. All right, no one else had their hand raised to comment or respond. So essentially just to remind the board of where we are.
I just have one more question. So the literacy position, is that in the grant? Will the grant be paying for that position?
It is.
It's in the grant, but it's not a position on the books right now.
It's just an unfilled position. Position has been vacant. The goal is, I believe we can use that grant to pay for that position. Trustee Rocket Martin, I can verify that with our chief of school who wrote the grant specifically for that position. I believe that position, we're looking to have that being paid out of the grant because it is for the next 3 years and is directly tied to literacy. Am I correct? You can nod, Dr. Shelton. Yes. So that's going to not be paid out of our general fund. So it's no hit to our general fund. We have $3 million over the next 5 years that we're going to reallocate resources to pay for that literacy grant. There is no violation of policy because I'm not creating a new position there. That's a position that's always existed. It just has been.
President Robinson?
I'm sorry. Yes, Treasurer Creighton, were you trying to respond or were you trying to proceed with the vote as Trustee Bowens stated?
I would like to respond only because I feel like there's some manipulation going on. Again, as an HR committee, we are only stating facts that's coming out of Dr. Townsend and the HR committee. The head position. So I guess for me, I'm saying if they tell us that these positions don't exist, they give us a document saying these are all of the open positions and vacant positions. And then now on the record here, he's saying the superintendent is saying that document is not the truth. I'm not sure at this point, like, how do you say in one breath that the position is paid out the grant and then you're not sure? Again, we have to be sure 100% because we're already in a deficit from moving forward with things and being unsure. So again, we're not asking to terminate them. We're saying that we want to further discuss to work out the legalities of these things and possibly postpone the decision from being made tonight when we can have more time to make sure that all the kinks are worked out. And I think it's more than fair that Mr. Triplett, Trustee Triplett, is asking us as a board to reconsider making that decision tonight. Not saying that we won't make it in the near future. We can call a special meeting and do that tomorrow. But there are certain T's that need to be crossed and I's that need to be dotted. We cannot just sit here and impulsively vote on things without things being worked out. We do have attorneys that our staff work closely with. And I don't see, and I did look back into that email, I don't see that email saying anything to affirm what Dr. Townsend, the superintendent, has said tonight.
Okay.
Madam
so Ms.
President,
I'm gonna, Secretary Triplett, if you can give me one quick second. Ms. Gail was attempting to provide feedback, I believe, and then I'll come to you, Secretary Triplett. But I just want the board to be mindful that it is 5:56 p.m. and we are on approval of the agenda. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Ms. Gail and then we'll proceed.
I just wanted to provide information regarding the staffing sheet that was provided to the HR committee members in good faith in order to showcase the level of organization that we have on our end and how we're able to keep track of every employee at a glance. That was the purpose of the sheet. The purpose of the sheet never was and never will be to list every single position that is in the district. That was merely meant to showcase the level of organization that has been developed by the HR department in the district that had not been there before. I'm very sad to hear that that is being misconstrued and misrepresented as something that it was never meant to be.
Madam President,
Secretary Triplett, you have the floor.
I am not confused. It is not misconstrued. None of that. And for someone to feel comfortable enough to basically insult my intelligence, I can only speak for myself. There is no way in the world that you should be able to come before this board and say, under the auspices that everything is a living document and that they do not have any concrete listing of staffing that goes to that HR committee. I am not going to go back and forth. Again, I would like to go forth with what Trustee Bonds said, that we call for the vote, and then we'll go from there. Because now things are not only are things becoming professionally concerning, they're also becoming ethically concerning as far as I'm concerned. So whatever the board decides to do will be fine. But I did put a motion on the floor for 3 staff reports to be removed this evening, and for further discussion. And Dr. Townsend is the superintendent of Ben Harbor Area Schools, and he is the one that brings this information to us. I understand that he does have a team and a chief of teaching and learning and chief of HR and chief of finance, but that is our superintendent. And for him to, in the beginning, not be clear if this is what the case is, I think that we just need to pull this off of the agenda as I asked, and then we can move forward. So can we go with the vote, please? Thank you, at this board meeting.
Okay, so I am going to make a quick comment. I am going to remind everyone, although we have not gotten there, to our board norms. We're very familiar with them. And I know that this is a disagreement of opinions on the status of those board reports, and whether we are in a position to take vote on them at this particular time. However, I would like to remind everyone that even though we disagree on this particular topic, we do have respect for each other. We want to ensure that we are reflecting that respect in the manner in which we are interacting with each other. What I stated before, because this seems to be a heightened topic, and this is just my opinion because I'm only one particular vote, is that we potentially amend the agenda as stated, and this is just my input, removing those 3 items. We know that we currently have a meeting that is scheduled for the 22nd, and these items can potentially be brought back at that particular time for review of the board, which would give us additional time for additional clarifications to be provided. I know that there may be some that do not agree with this decision. So as stated, it's just my opinion. However, what I would prefer that we not do is spend another 30 minutes debating on the approval of the agenda, which we as a board know we have done before. So I know that Trustee Bonds had his hand raised. I'll allow you to add input, Trustee Bonds, and then we'll proceed.
I was just reiterating my call, Madam President.
I can't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was just reiterating my call for ending of the debate and call for the vote, please.
I think you were trying to call the question, which is a motion to end the debate and vote on the motion at hand. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, is there a second to Trustee Bonds' motion to call the question and end the debate so that we can vote on this?
Madam President, is there already a motion on the floor by Vice Secretary Triplett and Treasurer Creighton? Do we have to do a vote to end debate or just?
No, you just need, all you need is a second.
Second.
You second, Secretary Triplett?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so currently the motion that is on the floor is to approve the agenda with removal of staff report H1A, H1F, and H1J. That was made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for approval of the agenda as stated?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
No.
Trustee Rocket.
I am not in favor of tabling H1A, but the rest, yes.
Okay, is that Trustee Buchanan with a hand raised?
Yes, that's me, baby. I just found my phone. I'm so sorry.
Okay, were you attempting to enter a vote, Trustee Buchanan?
Yes. See, I just got a phone. I just got my phone. I didn't know where it was. So I don't even know what you voted for. That's sort of bad too.
So what we were doing, Trustee Buchanan, is we were voting on the agenda, but Secretary Triplett wanted to remove 3 of the reports, H1A, H1F, and H1J. And we were wanting your vote on whether you want to proceed with that, with those 3 items removed.
So yeah, well, I am a yes.
You said yes?
I don't know. Yes, because I don't got, I'm in the middle, don't get the clear understanding. But is everybody else voting yes?
So
I just hear this conversation because I had misplaced my phone and the phone was in my car. I just got them.
okay, Secretary Triplett, can you go back through how we voted?
Okay. President Robinson, yes. Vice President Bradley, no. Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton, yes. Trustee Bowens, no. Trustee Rocket, I don't know what she said. Yes, is it yes or no?
I said I'm not in favor of voting against H1A, the literacy coach position. I would like to see that go forward, but no to the 1F and 1J.
So then, Raquel, that's technically a no for your vote if you don't vote for the 3 amendments that they are proposing. Okay, so Trustee Buchanan, that's the current vote. Was your vote a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay.
And okay, yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, so the motion, I believe it passed with the amendments reflected. Is that correct, Secretary Triplett?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so those particular reports, H1A, H1F, H1J, we do already have a meeting planned for June 22nd. Those particular items can be brought back. My hope is that the HR committee can get the clarifications that it needs to proceed with the full board voting on this particular topic. Next up on the agenda, we have review of board norms.
Hello.
Trustee Buchanan, I need you to mute your phone.
Okay.
Thank you. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. The norms are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intentions. So those are our board norms that we ask both the board and our citizens to respect. Up next on the agenda is public comment. Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. The first hand that I see raised is for a line Galaxy S9.
Yes, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Hi, yes, my name is Cherie Brooks and I'm calling in representation of Benton Harbor Beauty Academy. I had put in a request because I wanted to do a partnership with Benton Harbor with the cosmetology program. And I was denied the use of the equipment that is there it's been there, I guess, since maybe 2016, 2017 without any use. And I think everybody kind of got it twisted because my sole purpose for the request of the equipment was just to, if the kids were if the Benton Harbor area school districts wanted to partner with me, it was just going to be to reduce the tuition rate for the kids. Now, that was not my primary goal, was just to get the equipment, but just to announce and open an invitation for Benton Harbor area schools to partnership with Benton Harbor Beauty Academy. Ever since I've been knowing, I am a graduate of Benton Harbor High School, 1991. I have been a licensed cosmetologist for over 20 years. I am also a master stylist, also a licensed instructor as well. And I'm opening up a beauty academy here in Benton Harbor at 400 Riverview Drive downtown. And I just wanted to extend an invitation to partnership, because I know for a fact that even when I went to Benton Harbor area schools, that, they bust us all the way out to Sister Lakes, and even now in a partnership with Twin City Beauty College, and those things didn't work out. The program on campus obviously didn't work out. And one thing about it, there's 2 parts of the program this is very important. There is a practical portion and there is a theory portion. Now, with the practical portion, you need to have people to be able to apply those theories on. Like at Benton Harbor High School, how could they do that with, everybody that want their hair shampoo got to do a background check? So I just wanted to extend the invitation, like I said, to partnership with Benton Harbor area schools. The equipment was one thing and the partnership is another. And I'm just kind of confused about why I got denied for the use of the equipment. And knowing that, this is something that's in the work for that's in works for the CTE program. That's just something that I just never really understood. And I kind of wanted to get like answers about that. And also, the thing is that, I wanted to, I was always a parent who felt like, oh yeah, restore the roar. That was my whole thing. But, as the years went, I had my own personal issues with the district, with Ben Harbor area schools.
Ma'am,
And
I'm
Huh?
sorry to interrupt you, but she started your clock late, so you probably have about 10 or 15 seconds left, okay?
Yeah, so I had my own personal issues with that, and I decided still yet to come home and do something positive and open up an academy in our own city with our own kids, everything, so we wouldn't have to go out to those areas and the places that didn't really want us over there. And that's so, they can get a proper education, because when they get done with Twin City, they still confused about what it is to do, because they haven't been able to put the practical into, works with people that look like us. So that's just what I'm saying. And it was just kind of disheartening to me that I ended up not getting, what I wanted from the program. So, I mean, that was just my take on the whole thing. So,
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
mhm.
Next, Miss Noel.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Anicia Noel, everyone's favorite parent. I just came this evening because we were advised in our last meeting that if we need to start correcting lies when we see them. So how effective and productive and professional was it or is it for a superintendent to be rapping at our graduation? How effective, productive, and professional is it for our chief of schools to not even be there? Nor our facility operations manager, but yet we want to keep hiring people. Okay. So one thing about a quality Ben Harbor area schools education back in 2007, my graduating year, they advised us to be analytical thinkers, and that if even one part of a statement is false, that means the entire statement is false. So according to the Mackinac report, yes, it does state that the other half of the 45 million is held up by Governor Whitmer and the Republicans in legislation. That only leaves about 19 million though, because they also stated in the report they issued it in 4 different ways. One of the allotments was under Title I funding. The second allotment was to the chief of schools to do with whatever she wanted to and pay employees and staff, which I mind you, you all reported that we lost most of our teachers. We lost about 118 teachers, according to Elizabeth Gale report during that year, or we at least lost about 118 staff. However, we've brought that number back down, but of course we have. And then not only that, it also states that a third allotment went through Governor Whitmer's emergency fund relief, and the fourth way was through benchmark testing. So if you're going to address the report, please address it in its entirety. You cannot leave out not a piece of information, because it's paramount that if you're going to correct a lie when you see it, you have all of the facts. And a quality Ben Harbor education has afforded me such. So at this point, I have already called for 2 resignations, vice president and the trustee. And at this point, I'm going for Trustee Lou Buchanan as well, because at this point, she just basically told us she did not understand what's going on. I can't put my kids in the hands of that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line for public comment on agenda items? Okay, so we are going to proceed with the next item on the agenda. And it is our approval of our minutes. Before we go there though, I'm sorry, I didn't realize my video wasn't on. So before we go on to approval of the agenda, I do want the community to know that we have our public comment areas dictated so that we can be sure to hear you on agenda topics that we're planning to vote on at the start of the meeting. You have your extended learning plan at the middle, about the middle, and then open public comment is later in the evening. We really do ask that you ensure that you make comments in the appropriate point so that we can hear you as we need to on the agenda. So just wanted to ensure people understood why we had 3 different areas, but we're going to proceed with approval of the meeting minutes. Our minutes for approval today are the work session 5/4/21 and regular session 5/11/21. Can I have a motion to approve the 5/4/21 and 5/11/21 minutes?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the 5/4/21 and 5/11/21 minutes? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes. Yes.
Trustee
hear me?
Rocket Martin. Yes, ma'am. Trustee Rocket
Yes.
Martin. Motion
Yes.
carried. Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the Berrien Risa School Board elections. And I know that I didn't forewarn you, Secretary Triplett, but I was wondering if you'd like to present on this information. You had the opportunity to attend the official election yesterday.
I did, and I'd like to say congratulations to Dave Pago and Andrew Robinson. They were selected to 6-year terms for Berrien Risa. I did have an opportunity to tally the vote. Myself and the representative from Niles Public Schools, we were the ones who tallied the vote, and so the votes were legitimate. I also got an opportunity to have a conversation with Mr. Robinson and with Mr. Pago as it relates to, them making sure that they look out for us, that we are not forgotten. We want them to look out for us in the same manner they look out for every school in Berrien County. I also got an opportunity to speak with the superintendent of Berrien Risa. And he seemed to have known who I was, but I didn't know who he was. But we too had a conversation, and he said he's looking forward to establishing a good relationship with Ben Harbor Area School Board of Education. And Mr. Robinson will be reaching out to our president and possibly have an opportunity to come and address the Board of Education. So thank you very much for that privilege and opportunity to represent Ben Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. And I apologize for not forewarning you that you were going to present this evening, but you did an awesome job.
Thank you.
And I think it speaks volume that you were allowed to help with selecting or counting the Berrien Risa official vote. So thank you for your efforts and your service to the district and Berrien Risa in general yesterday. All right, so next on the agenda, we have a Board of Education meeting update. So I just wanted to ensure that we were able to officially inform the community that as of July, the Board of Education will return to 1 meeting a month. And that meeting will take place on the 2nd Tuesday of each month at 5:30. We essentially just voted to remove our work session meeting that we had prior. So there will no longer be a meeting on the first Tuesday of the month currently. And then also we will be returning to in-person meetings effective July. So the local state of emergency declared by the Berrien County Board of Commissioners on March 24th, 2021, that expires at the end of this month. So effective July, we will have to return to in-person meetings. And we just wanted to ensure that the community was aware of that. All right, so next on the agenda, we have selection of a third-party firm the board was previously forwarded information regarding the contracted rate for Attorney Bradley Springer with Schulten Fant Law Firm for the board matter. Is there a motion to approve the hiring of Attorney Bradley Spring at his contracted rate?
I move that we hire the attorney for the Bradleys, whatever,
Attorney Bradley Springer?
concerning Bradley.
Support.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin and supported by Treasurer Creighton that we hire Attorney Bradley Springer with Schulten Fant Law Firm at his contracted rate. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for the selection of the third-party firm?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Treasurer Creighton. Treasurer
Yes,
Creighton,
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Did you hear me?
Secretary Triplett, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I did. Trustee Bonds,
No.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes, can you hear me?
yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
And Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you all. So the board has finalized its business today. We are going to pass it over to the Dr. Townsell, the superintendent. He's going to begin with staff report S1.
Good evening, everybody, including the community, everyone's listening in. I brought at the top of the year that Benton Harbor Area Schools needs a strategic plan to move forward. We had the opportunity to hear from 3 different firms who provide support to strategic plan, and I will be asking for board approval. So I'll read it. The subject is strategic plan. The reason for board approval: the district needs to pursue a long-term vision by achieving academic and financial stability for the district and a sustainable and stable platform for growth that will ensure the district's integrity in a manner that enables it to grow, prosper, and thrive. The assistance of an outside firm is integral to its ability to pursue this process and set goals in a comprehensive and unbiased manner. Facts and analysis. 3 separate firms have presented their prospective programs to the board in the months of April and May. The request is that the board choose a firm to assist in the process of creating and implementing a strategic plan. There is no policy reference. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve a firm to assist in the creation of a strategic plan that will outline the process of long-term goal setting, recovery, and growth. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Townsell. So as stated, the board has had an opportunity to have presentations from 3 different companies. And so at this particular time, is there a motion for the selection of a particular company for the strategic planning?
Madam President,
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
I'm asked at this particular time, my understanding of the resolution is that you're asking the board to accept the fact that we will be identifying a group to do the strategic planning. Am I not correct? We're not selecting the group tonight. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so my apologies, I misread it. So I thought that you were asking us for a particular company. You're just asking us to approve hiring of a company.
Yes.
Okay, and so later, will we have to come back and vote on which particular company?
Yes.
We will.
Okay.
We've already had the 3, so we will
Okay.
come back and identify. Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification, my Secretary Triplett.
Thank you.
Okay. So is there a motion for approval of staff report S1 regarding hiring a firm to assist in creation of the strategic plan?
So move.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes,
Trustee Bond, okay, yes.
yes,
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket,
Did you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Motion
Yes.
carried.
All right, so the board has approved staff report S1. Dr. Townsend, staff report S2.
Thank you. I shared at our board retreat this weekend, I identified a couple of professional developments I'd like to go to. I've been the superintendent of Benton Harbor Area Schools for about 16 months, and I've not received any professional development, but I want to ensure that I'm at my top of my game to support Benton Harbor Area Schools. So I'm asking, the subject is Board of Education Professional Development for Superintendent. The reason for board consideration: whereas it be known that professional development opportunities have been shown to be effective in enhancing instructional and financial leadership, and to give the superintendent the skills and insight to excel as a superintendent. The following benefits have been demonstrated: maximizing student achievement, build confidence and credibility, increase effectiveness, re-energize and increase staff morale, improve efficiency, and enhance the overall learning experience for all of our students. Facts and analysis: professional development in all tiers of the education system are important opportunities for staff development, growth, learning, and leadership. This is especially true at the highest level of superintendent, as this person is the top instructional leader for the district. Policy reference 3242, professional growth requirements. And I'm recommending that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education vote to approve professional development opportunities for the superintendent.
All right, thank you, Dr. Townsend. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett that we
I
accept
second
and
the motion.
approve staff report S2. It has been seconded by Trustee Rocket Martin. That's probably the quickest we've approved something besides adjournment. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report S2?
President
Secretary,
Robinson, I do have a question. I'm so sorry.
go ahead, Treasurer Creighton.
I just wonder, now, is this an approval or staff report to approve a specific professional development or professional development in general?
In general, I'll bring the
Okay.
ones for the president to share with the board that I'm interested in. I shared them at the retreat, which was the new Superintendent Leadership Academy with MASA, and also the National Conference on Education with the American Association of School Administrators. That's the conference all superintendents go to have all the latest information with regards to education.
All right, any other questions from the board? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you, Dr. Townsend. So the board wishes you the best of luck with searching for your professional development opportunities. I know you shared some options with us, but we're excited for you to start that venture. Up next, we have Mr. Johnson with Business and Finance. He'll be starting with staff report F1.
Thank you. The subject is the annual budget hearing scheduling. And the reason for board consideration is each year a public budget hearing is scheduled for the ensuing fiscal year's initial budget. Facts analysis, it's recommended that the budget hearing for this year be held, and it has been scheduled for June 22 at 5:30 p.m. There's a policy reference, and that's 6230 budget hearing, and no board action is requested on this item this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So we don't actually have to vote on this one. I did inform the board and the community last week that we will have a meeting on the 22nd at 5:30 for that essential purpose. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next is staff report F2.
Thank you. The subject is millage rates for 2021 tax year. Reason for board consideration is each year the Board of Education approves the millage rates for school property taxes. Facts analysis, this evening it's recommended that the district levy the same millage rates in 2021 as those that were levied last year. Approval this early will enable us to communicate the millage rates to local units of government that are collecting the district's summer taxes. There is no policy reference and the recommended action is listed below.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept and approve staff report F2?
I make a motion to accept and approve staff report F2.
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin that we accept and approve staff report F2. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote? Call the roll for vote.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
You're
Trustee
muted, Trustee Buchanan.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Awesome. Staff report F2 passed. Next, we have staff report F3. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The subject is monthly financial reports. Reason for board consideration. A set of financial reports is provided to the board each month. Facts analysis. This evening it's recommended that payments for all of the district's funds be approved for the month of April 2021. Policy reference is 6470 and the recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the April 2021 payments as listed below.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report F3?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Okay, the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Trustee Rocket Martin, did you want to support?
I'll second it. Yes.
All right, so the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin that we approve staff report F3. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes, Madam President, I do have some questions and I do have some concerns. Every month I've noticed that this is something that we do and we must do. I would like to know if at all possible that we can find out if we can get an opportunity to see the list of bills that are being paid that we are required to pay for the district, just for, just to get an understanding of what it is, because we're coming in and we're saying yes. And I trust that everything that needs to be paid and taken care of is in safe hands with Mr. Johnson. But I would like to see in the future just a listing of what checks are being paid, because I do have some questions later on in our committee meetings. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a Secretary Triplett, there's a hyperlink in monthly financial reports. So it's not what's viewing now, but there is actually a 42-page document that's attached to the agenda that may actually have the information that you're referencing. Liz, if you could pull that up.
She don't have to pull it up right now, Madam
Okay.
President. It's just something that I would like to do. We don't have to do that right now. It's just something that I will give it to Superintendent and maybe
Okay.
some from technology that can help me learn how to navigate that portion of our work here. But I
Okay,
just wanted to put that on the record, to and make sure that the board is astute in those areas as well, to make sure we are clear on what it is that we're saying yes to and what it actually is that what bills are actually being paid by Ben Harbor area schools.
thank you. And if any members of the public, are interested in the finer details, the links as stated, the hyperlink will take you to the actual reports. Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F3? All right, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
Madam President,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So staff report F3 has been approved. Mr. Johnson, staff report F4.
Thank you. One quick note regarding the financial reports. The packet does include 2 board reports that list all the checks written for the month of April. The staff report, snowplow service contract extension. Reason for board considerations. The district has an opportunity to lock in snow removal services for this coming fiscal year at a lower cost than what was bid per unit last year. Facts analysis, in 2020, the district requested bids for snowplow services. The request for proposals stated that the board could extend the contract for up to 2 additional years. The vendor that provided this service last winter, has offered to provide a 5% fee reduction if the board extends the snow removal contract through the winter of 2021-22. There's no policy reference, and the recommended action is that the board extend the contract with John Withrow Excavating for snowplow and salting service through the 2021-22 snow season.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Can I have a motion to approve staff report F4?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report F4. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the snowplow service contract extension? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds. Trustee Bonds,
I'm coming, yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Sorry, yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have staff report F5.
President Robinson, would you like me to walk through this since no board action is being requested on this evening?
No, we don't. You don't actually have to go through it again. Did any members of the board have any additional questions for Mr. Johnson regarding staff report F5?
Staff report F5, that's with the asbestos abatement and building demolition bids.
Yes, sir.
And so when we're not actually taking any, we're not doing anything as it relates to demolition or anything at this particular juncture, are we?
No, not at this particular time. And
Okay.
I'll actually, this is Mr. Johnson's presentation, so I'll be quiet. Mr. Johnson, you can respond to that.
Well, you're correct. No board action is being requested or recommended this evening. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F5? We don't have anything to approve regarding staff report F5. All right, Mr. Johnson, you can proceed to staff report F6. And I know you provided this information in our work session, so it's up to you how much you go over.
Maybe if we can have our presenter, our Zoom presenter, pull up the graph. Thank you. We'll just zip through this. This graph, the purpose of this graph is to show the amount of funds that Mackinac Center reports that the school district is getting. And then that's the amount shown in the green bar, 47 million plus. And then the amount that was actually awarded by the MDE as of mid-April being about 4.6 million. And the amount received as of mid-May, not mid-April, I misspoke there. Which was $3.2 million. So there's obviously quite a difference between those three amounts. We do hope to see a significant increase, but we're waiting for ESSER 3 to be finalized by the legislature. So that's just a quick recap of the COVID funding received so far.
All right, does any members of the board have any additional questions for Mr. Johnson regarding staff report F6? This particular report did not require any board action either.
Madam President.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
This seems to be, an item that has been coming up for some time now, and something that some members in our community is still unclear and have a different understanding of what this report says and what they have researched. Is there any way possible? I'm not sure exactly how that would take place and how that would be done, because I would like for that to be put to rest so that people can be clear. What are the options that people have to come into ask questions or get the questions that they have specifically to this particular report answered? So I would like to do some type of, if you will, correspondence so that we can get this issue dealt with and taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Any other questions, comments, and concerns regarding?
I guess I didn't make my question clear. Is there a protocol, or is that something that we don't know at this particular juncture, and we'll get back to be able to do that?
Are you meaning to give the community more information regarding this?
Well, every meeting for the last couple of months, there's just been, like we'll have this report, and then someone else has, someone from the in our public comments or what have you, have something completely different. And I think that it is very important that we, clear this up. And I was just wondering, do we have any kind of protocol so that that discussion can be held, so there can be some clear understanding, and we'll be able to move forward from this particular situation?
So to my understanding, it was placed on the agenda by our CFO so that we could speak to the concerns that have been expressed. Mm-hmm. I don't know that we have anything formulated in writing beyond this and the notation in our meeting minutes, but I can defer to Mr. Johnson on that.
We can certainly explore the possibility. I think this has been covered by the local newspaper to some degree. We could probably put something online that has links to the MD website that shows the amount that was that was awarded. And we can also publish a report that shows how much we spent to date and receipts.
Thank you so very much, because I would just like for this to be put to rest so that we can move forward. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Bowens, you have the floor.
Yes, I also agree, but then you have to ask yourself, just out of curiosity, we can put all the information out. People are going to want to believe what they want to believe. And I think it's shooting, never mind. But that's basically it. They're going to believe what they want to believe. We can put it out, but is it effective? I don't know. What is an effective way to put it out? Yes, this right-wing report is saying this, but a fact in the actuality is this is what we got. People are going to believe what they want to believe regardless.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding staff report F6?
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
You have the floor, Trustee Raquel Martin.
Is this additional funding that our district was supposed to get?
Are you
the COVID relief?
Are you referring to a specific line on this table, please?
No, I just thought I was just asking, was this additional money that we were coming our way apart from our general operating budget? But I see down here, you've got the grant money that we're getting. Title I is included in this, right?
No, Title I is not included in this.
Okay.
And
the reason why I'm saying that maybe to distinguish between the two groups of monies coming in, we have general money that comes in that takes care of our daily operations at our school, right? In our district, that has nothing to do with these funds,
right?
That we have got, because if we didn't get them, we wouldn't be able to operate. So if, maybe if you could kind of somehow show them the difference between the two.
Thank you for that suggestion.
I don't know if I asked a question or not.
Thank you, Trustee Raquel Martin. Any other questions, comments, concerns from the board regarding staff report F6? Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your efforts this evening. We're going to pass the mic to Mrs. Gale, our Human Resources Chief.
President Robinson, we have had two presentations last time. The first one had to do with the teacher in training program. Did you want us to go over both presentations again?
It's completely up to you, Ms. Gale. I know you went over it in detail in the work session. So if there are certain points or slides you want to touch on, that's up to you.
I will refer, as to the first presentation, I will defer to Dr. Shelton, and then I will address the second one.
Okay, so Dr. Shelton,
Yes.
do you want to go through the presentation as you'd like?
No, I don't see a need to repeat it. We've kept it on the agenda. Anyone can see it at any time. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any additional questions from the board regarding the teacher in training program PowerPoint?
I would like to offer clarification.
You have the floor, Ms. Gale.
Just one point that may have not been brought up. The Teachers in Training program has been designed to help us fill teacher vacancies. However, we are mandated to fill those vacancies by certified teachers first. And we consider putting teachers in training in those positions only if we're unable to fill them with certified teachers. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. And if there were any members of the public that were not present last week during the work session where she reviewed the teacher in training program and you'd like to actually see that presentation, you can go back and review our video on our website to do so. Next, any questions from the board? All right, next we have the teacher pay presentation, and Ms. Gale, I'll allow you to present that as you choose.
Well, I would also like not to go over it again. I believe we have covered that in detail. I do want to reiterate that we are aware of issues regarding teachers' pay, that we have worked hard on not only addressing challenges and providing solutions to those challenges. We're committed to it, and we have made significant improvements. And we still have two more phases to bring us even and to make our teachers who have been with us for a long time whole. In addition to that, we're making significant efforts, I should say, to level up our teacher compensation as a whole, and that will be addressed next summer during the negotiations with the bargaining agreement. Our goal is to make our teacher pay scale competitive in Southwest Michigan.
Thank you, Ms. Gale. Are there any additional questions from the board regarding the teacher pay presentation?
Yes, this is just a brief comment, Madam President. Without teachers and students, we have no district. I think it's time now for us to make all of our teachers whole. It's time for us to be competitive. Up top, we are strong. Our central administration, administrators, their salaries are very, 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 very strong. And so I think that we have teachers who have been here for years that had an opportunity to review the seniority list, and it is really shameful. So again, I hope that the superintendent and his staff is working very, very hard and not, as quickly as possible with making sure that our teachers are made whole and as soon as possible. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding the teacher pay presentation? All right, we're gonna move it on to new hires, Ms. Gale, H1B. Yes, Trustee Buchanan.
I wanted to have, I'll wait till Ms. Gale get done. I need to, every time I try to get in, I know nobody hear me, but I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, is it regarding teacher pay?
No, with our teachers, like Mr. Triplett said, we have some of the smartest, educated, caring, loving teachers in any county. And in anything, they should be able to get up. Because I was talking to a couple of them. It's on a standstill, and that's not fair. But we need to do all we can for our teachers, because we have some wonderful teachers. I worked with some for 32 years, I know, and some of them are still there. So whatever pay they get, a nickel, a dime, a penny, they need it.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. All right, Ms. Gale, next we have staff report H1B.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Melody Cardenas, teacher special education at the high school. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H1 and B?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, it has been moved by Secretary Triplett. Trustee Buchanan, would you like to support?
I support.
All right, so the motion has
Yeah.
been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report H1B. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, please call the roll.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, staff report H1B was approved. Next, we have staff report H1C. Ms. Gale?
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Beth Boven, teacher in 3rd grade at MLK. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H1C?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report H1C. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Madam President,
You have the floor,
I think this-
Trustee Bowens.
I'm sorry. I think this was addressed. Is there a reason again why we're not doing these all in consent items?
So I think that was a conversation, and I'm not sure if you're asking me, I think that was a conversation regarding HR committee and the chief of HR to split it.
I can answer.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Townsend.
No problem. It was also at the retreat. Our policy allow us to go to a consent agenda. Members of our HR committee recommended that we keep it separate, so we're honoring that recommendation.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H1C? Secretary Triplett, please call the vote.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes,
Trustee Bowens,
I'm here. Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket,
Yes.
motion carried.
Secretary Triplett, you put your school teacher voice on for a second with Trustee Bowens, it sounds like. Next, we have staff report H1D. Ms. Gale.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Samantha Fundinger, teacher art at Fairplain Middle School. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, is there a motion to approve staff report H1D?
So
So
moved.
moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Vice President Bradley, would you like to support?
I'll support that.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report H1D. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, please call the roll.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next on the agenda, we have staff report H1E, Ms. Gail.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the superintendent recommendation for hire of the following personnel: David Boven, teacher, social studies at the high school. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, is there a motion to approve staff report H1E?
So moved.
So move.
All right, is there a, so the motion has been made, I believe it was Vice President Bradley. Is there a second or support?
Support.
All right, the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report H1E. Correct, Ms. Gail? That's the report you're on?
That is correct.
Okay, it look H1G is up, so I'm confused. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H1E? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next on the agenda is staff report H1G. Mrs.
Sub-
Gail.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the superintendent recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Frederick Roseberg, principal for a 2-year term at the high school. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H1G?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there a second or support?
Support.
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Madam President, may I please speak?
You have the floor, Trustee Bowens.
On this vote, I want to say congratulations to Mr. Roseberg. I've known him since I was a student in Benton Harbor Area Schools. And when I first met him, I said, this man got some spunk because he didn't take no mess. He always had a classroom of order. And if you look at the results of fair playing with the test scores increasing and everything, he's done some tremendous work, and I'm excited to see what he can do at Benton Harbor High School. So I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you, Trustee Bowens. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board?
I have a question.
Okay.
All right, you have the floor, Treasurer Creighton, and then Secretary Triplett, I'll pass to you.
I would also like to congratulate Mr. Roseberg on his new assignment. I do have one other follow-up question. I noticed that the staff report includes a 2-year term. I just wondered if that was a new addition, because I hadn't seen that before. It was new language, and I wonder if there's a policy reference to that, because it was my understanding that administrators have annual contracts. And so I just wonder where that 2-year term language came from.
So you're correct, Trustee Creighton, that administrators by default get 1-year term. That's why we're presenting for the board approval a 2-year term for the principal of the high school, according to request by the superintendent to implement stability at our high school.
All right, Secretary Triplett, you were next on the floor.
Yes, you know, just to piggyback on Treasurer Creighton's comment, you know, it's not that people do not support or agree, but it is the responsibility of the board to make sure that we are always operating within the parameters of the policy. Default and all those things, if it's not policy, is not applicable. But I do want to, at the same time, say congratulations to Mr. Roseberg for stepping up into this monumental position. The class of 1989, since it did leak out, the class of 1989 is excited to support their classmate. I'm very, very proud of you. And if there's anything I can do to support you and our superintendent in this mission to take Benton Harbor High School to the next level, I am here. So congratulations, Mr. Roseberg. And as Mr. Trustee Bowen said, throughout everything that we've done and everything that we've been through with our various schools and what have you, the one school that stayed the course and remained the same and wasn't on lists and this and that and different lists of being on the watch list for this and that was the building that Mr. Roseberg was the leader in that building. So I think that was a great choice. All of the students who are at Benton Harbor High School have been under his leadership. So it should be a smooth transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Robinson.
Trustee Buchanan, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to piggyback on all of them. Congratulations to Fred. I worked with him at Hull. And Mr. Roseberg, if you're listening, congratulations. I love you. And we're going to put a show on at the high school like we did at Hull. Congratulations. You can do it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board? I would also like to wish Mr. Roseberg congratulations on his recommendation for principal. I did have an opportunity to tour his school and was highly impressed with his attention to detail as it relates to college prep for students. So I'm excited to see the greatness that is in store for Benton Harbor High School under your leadership. If there are no other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H1G, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yeah.
Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Next, we have staff report H1H.
H1H, submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws in Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Leonard Moran, assistant principal, again for a 2-year term at the high school. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report H1?
So move.
Support.
I think that's H1H. Okay, so it was moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report H1H. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary.
I have a question.
Okay, you have the floor, Treasurer Creighton, and then Secretary Triplett.
I just want to say that I did have the opportunity to work with Mr. Morant And I think he is a great person to work with our young people. He is really good with our young people. I just had a question about the 2-year term. Again, I know that within the administrator's contract, because he would be considered a new administrator, and the language states that, that is, he would be probationary. And so I just wondered if we could add, I had a question like where the intention came from or the language came from asking for a 2-year term, knowing that all administrators are probationary, all new administrators are probationary.
Mrs. Gale, do you have would you like to provide a response, or Dr. Townsend?
So I'm not really clear because Mr. Moran is currently serving in the role of Dean of Students at the middle school. So if you're referring to the initial, I'm not sure what the question is. I'm sorry.
Well, I can mention this with regards. So as I didn't see anything in policy that did not allow me to request a 2-year term. So I'm asking the board to give me permission to put our high school administrators at 2-year terms so we can ensure stability. I think the maximum in the past 10 years that a principal has served was almost 2 years. But I want to ensure that our young people have a stable leader, and that our administrators feel that they have job security and have the autonomy to do this very, very difficult work of leading Benton Harbor High School. I'm very excited about the candidates we have. I do believe we're going to be successful, but I wanted to ensure support of our administrators taking on this job, knowing how difficult it is, but committing to supporting them and offering them an opportunity for stability.
President Robinson, may I respond to that?
You can, and then we'll defer to Secretary Triplett.
Thank you so much, Dr. Townsend, for that clarity. I just asked as the HR committee chair, again, when those changes are made, if they're not made at the board table, but that they are done in advance so that we can work out the legalities and the kinks. I'm glad to know that you're trying to offer stability for our administrators, and I'm looking forward to the great work that Mr. Moran and Mr. Roseberg could possibly do for Benton Harbor High School.
Secretary Triplett, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to just take this opportunity. I really don't know Mr. Morant up close and personal. Prior to COVID, I did have an opportunity to do some substitute teaching at the middle school, and the relationship and respect that he has with the students and with the parents, his professionalism, his smoothness. I've heard that there are things that he does with our kids above and beyond what is being asked of him in his current role. So I too want to say congratulations to Mr. Morant on being moved and promoted to the position of assistant principal at Benton Harbor High School. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Robinson, can I just offer another piece of information?
You sure can, Ms. Gale.
I just wanted to note, regardless of the term, all administrators are still evaluated annually.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Ms. Gale. Any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H1H? And I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Moran as well, and I look forward to seeing the amazing team that he and Mr. Roseberg will create at the high school. Hearing no additional comments from the board, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report H1H?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bonds.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next we have staff report H1I. Ms. Gale.
Submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of the staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the board approve the student superintendent's recommendation for hire of the following personnel: Ms. Shannon Roquette as principal at MLK Junior Elementary School. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept staff report H1I?
So move.
Support.
Motion has been made by
Support.
Secretary Triplett and supported by,
Support.
I'm sorry, thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Vice President Bradley beat you. So the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report H1I. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Madam President, I do have a comment if you.
You have the floor, Trustee Bonds.
I just want to say congratulations to Ms. Roquette. If I'm correct, and don't get mad if I mess up the year, I think she was class of 95 or 96, somewhere up in there. And it's just so great to see that we have 2 Benton Harbor graduates now, leaders in our school district. When we talk about not having outsiders come in, and it's not a problem with outsiders, but not having, we have local homebred staff and people that reflect us, that grew up in the community, that understand the issues that we face in leadership roles. So I want to say congratulations, and I am expecting great things from MLK and under her leadership.
Madam President,
You have the floor, Secretary Triplett, and thank you, Trustee Bonds, for your comment. You have the floor, Secretary Triplett.
I too would like to say that I am extremely proud of Ms. Roquette. Ms. Roquette has been here in and out of our district. She is alumni of Benton Harbor High School. I know that she genuinely has a love for our children. And so I'm excited, and I wish her the very, very best. And I hope that she have all of the wraparound services she need in order to ensure that she's successful. But again, I'm very proud of Ms. Roquette and excited to see what's going to happen at MLK Elementary School. Thank you.
President Robinson.
You have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that I am very excited. I've worked with M. Shannon Roquette on so many levels in Benton Harbor area schools. And I'm so thankful for her growth and development, and just watching her. I think she would do a great job. I also want to thank her for stepping up and moving around and accepting transfers to just fill in the gaps. You know, it takes special people to be able to be so transient and to fill in gaps when they are needed. And her good work and service is not going unnoticed. And I'm very thankful from an HR committee standpoint that we are doing what we can to fix some of the things that I think Benton Harbor area schools has gotten wrong over the years of not doing what we said we would do, which is, you know, growing our own. And I'm very thankful that tonight we've had the opportunity to take 2 votes on that in the right direction. I pray that, you know, we give her all of the support that she needs to be successful in this position, and best wishes being an administrator here. And I'm very thankful and grateful.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Any other questions, comments from the board?
President Robinson.
You have the floor, Treasurer Buchanan. I'm sorry, Trustee Buchanan.
I didn't hear you.
You have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, you know, I would also like to add a comment to Roquette. When she was at the high school and we had to come up there for exposure here, she was wonderful. What we need, that's what I was saying, you know, I pray, let us get within how our own people that know this community. You would have so many little kids being sent home by, one time at the high school, they had 48 referrals on one child. But these people are outstanding, they're young and they care. You got to have that love in your heart for the kids. Because I've loved the kids. 32 years I worked for the system. And 17 years I worked at Wagner Center, never got a paycheck because everybody was calling needing this. So we can get back to some programs that we need. Our kids are asking us for help. And love to me, we're gonna get it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board? I would just like to say congratulations to Ms. Rockett as well, and I'm really excited to see a Tiger in position to help us. So thank you so much for your. So we are going to proceed with the vote. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report H1I?
Is that H? I, okay. President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes, I'm sorry, that was on my document.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes.
Motion carried. I'm not sure exactly what it is that has to happen when we have a board member with a family member. Do they have to abstain, or do they not participate in the vote?
So she was actually, did you call her name, Secretary Triplett?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you would have to call her and then she would have to vote that.
Trustee Rockett Martin.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Thank
Right
you.
on.
All right, next we have separation of employment. Ms. Gail?
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, resignation and termination of staff. We have J. Lee Busby, teacher in training at the high school. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H2?
So moved.
The motion has been
Support.
made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H2? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rockett.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, Ms. Gail, staff report H3.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, resignation and termination of staff. We have Elizabeth Perkins, music teacher. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Great, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H3?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report H3? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rockett.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Staff report H4, Ms. Gail.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140. We have Wendy Wineland, academic interventionist. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve staff report H4?
So move.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we accept and approve staff report H4. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, next is staff report H5. Ms. Gail.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, Amy Story, teacher in training. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
All right, is there a motion to approve staff report H5?
So move.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report H5. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next, we have staff report H6. Ms. Gail.
Reason for board consideration, a list of employees whose employment relationship with the district is or will be separated is submitted to the board each month. Facts and analysis, it is recommended that the Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the following staff. Policy reference 4140, Diane Thomas, paraprofessional. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the separation of employment of the aforementioned staff.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report H6?
Support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bradley, or are you supporting or are you making that motion?
Making the motion.
Support.
I'm
All right, so
sorry.
the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report H6. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
I do have, well, no, okay, yeah, we can go ahead. President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, no. Treasurer Creighton, Treasurer Creighton, Treasurer Creighton,
You may be muted, Treasurer Creighton.
No.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so thank you, Ms. Gail. That was quite a bit of reports that you submitted. So it is evidence of your efforts and diligence made by both you and your team and Dr. Townsend to ensure that we have effective staff in our positions. So I just want you to know that we appreciate your efforts greatly. And thank you for all that you do. Next up, we have Dr. Shelton with Teaching and Learning, and she is going to be presenting our extended COVID-19 learning plan.
Yes, and it is for the last time. Remember, the extended COVID learning plan is for the school year, not the summer. However, we do have to do reporting over the summer, just not through board approval. So for the June meeting, the reconfirmation, we've already submitted, and now we have to do board approval. We will look at educational progress, which was one of the stipulations that we looked at mid-year, February, and end of the year. our weekly interaction rates, and the instructional delivery, which we'll see that there is no change. We stayed the same. As discussed last week, I'm going to go pretty quickly through this. It's posted. You may see it at any time. We noted that our overall growth slowed a bit. We also noted, and I'm going to go that our fall testing really indicated that a lot of it was done virtually. We think that, kids had some help. So the difference in what you see in fall from winter to spring, it's really huge, which is more of an indicator of that integrity piece. When we got to middle school, it looked a lot better. Middle school did a really good job of getting even all their virtual students in to test. So those numbers started to look a little bit better, particularly with the math. High school, again, we had the winter that kind of spiked up and we were still virtual. We got kids in, but we were still virtual. And then in the spring, when we came back face-to-face, we were able to test kids with a little bit more testing integrity. Our weekly interaction rates all remain about constant for each site. For this last page, of course, we're in this week, so we can't measure it. But last week and this week, we have not been given guidance on do we look at one interaction or two, because both our weeks are short. Both of the weeks are shortened, not full day, not the full 5 days that we look at. And we also said, please note with the high school and with CAPE, we know that there was going to be a noted drop because it still includes senior numbers. So since the last week of May, we noticed that it spiked up because you had those seniors rushing in, trying to get everything last minute, typical seniors. And then now that they're off our books, they're not completely off our books. They are still part of Power School and part of the count. And again, we have not received guidance around that because officially all students are supposed to be in school to the end of the year, but the state has made it clear that with seniors, they don't hold districts accountable because of just the traditional seniors not being around and graduating those last 2 weeks of school. And then finally, there is no change. We continue with our face-to-face K-8 and some of our synchronous K-8 virtual learning. We continue with the model that we put in place for spring of 9-12 face-to-face with still some virtual synchronous and asynchronous learning. Liz, I'm gonna go ahead and give it back to you, so go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Shelton. Were you finished with the extended learning plan update? I believe.
I am done with the extended learning plan update. And President Robinson, I don't remember how we do it. Do I read the report and then we have discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, yes, ma'am. You read the report and then I ask for public comment.
All right. I'm just waiting for Liz to get that up there. And I also have it, so I'll read it while she's getting that up there. So the subject is reconfirmation of the extended learning plan. Reason for consideration: on August 20th, 2020, Governor Whitmore signed House Bill 5913 into law as Public Act 149. Section 98 of that law states that in order to receive state aid for 2020-2021, districts must provide for instruction under the extended COVID-19 learning plan, called the plan, that has been approved by an intermediate school district or authorizing body. The plan must be reconfirmed each month at the monthly school board meeting, the monthly meeting of the school board. Facts and analysis, policy 0122, board powers. The board has the responsibility to the performance of any function related to the operation of the district in the interests of public elementary and secondary education in the district, including educating students and providing for the safety and welfare of students while at school or at a school-sponsored activity, or while en route to and from school or a school-sponsored activity. Policy reference is Michigan or MC Public Law 149, Section 98. Recommended action that the board of that Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education reconfirm there is no modification to the instructional delivery mode and the COVID-19 extended learning plan.
All right, thank you. So next we have public comment on the extended learning plan. So I will allow Liz to get ready for that while I am making the statement. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items. We're currently at public comment on the extended learning plan, and later is open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Is there anyone on the line for public comment on the extended learning plan? All right, hearing and seeing none, we are going to proceed with the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve staff report T1?
So moved to accept the plan.
Okay, the motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin to approve staff report T1. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report T1. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board?
Yes, President Robinson, some of the information that was presented here is very concerning to me as it related to the data that was presented. You know, when you hear that students took certain tests, very important tests, and that these things that are required in the report don't appear to be integral. That's very concerning to me. Again, if you look at the middle school, all of the students came in and took the test, and so their data has not moved. I am very concerned, and I will get an opportunity to speak further because I don't want to misspeak or ask questions at this particular juncture, but I'll follow up on information. I would also like to have that in writing that from the state stating that we do not have to do this extended learning plan. Can you please provide for us showing that that is the case so that we will know that we're moving in the right direction. But again, thank you for the report, Dr. Shelton, and for pulling this together. I know this was very strenuous at times in the beginning, trying to prepare and be able to do this type of work. Again, so thank you all for all of the hard work that you've done this past year as it relates to COVID and meeting the guidelines and approval for the state requirements. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report T1 from the board? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yep.
Excuse me, is that a yes? I don't think we have a yes. Let me see.
Yes.
Do I put a YP on my report? No. Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bonds.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes, can you hear me?
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Staff report T1 is approved. Dr. Sheldon, you can proceed with staff report T2.
Thank you. Subject is adoption of textbooks, submitting for board consideration. The Board of Education shall approve all textbooks used as a part of the educational program of the district. Facts and analysis. First of all, I'm the one sharing my screen. Liz had to take a break. Can I make sure that everybody can see? I have a big screen. I just want to make sure that this is big enough for people to see. Yes? Okay, thank you. Facts and analysis. Textbook for the purposes of this policy shall mean the principal source of instructional material for any given course of study in whatever form the material may be presented that is available or distributed to every student enrolled in the course. The superintendent shall develop administrative guidelines for the selection of textbooks that includes effective consultation with professional staff members at all appropriate levels. Policy reference 2510, adoption of textbooks, 2210, curriculum development. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve adoption of textbook guide or guidebook.
All right, thank you so much. Can I have a motion to approve staff report T2?
Some women support.
The motion has been made by Trustee Buchanan. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Trustee Buchanan, supported by Vice President Bradley, that we approve staff report T2. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Treasurer Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bonds,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket, Martin,
You're muted, Ms. Raquette.
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, thank you. Dr. Shelton, staff report T3.
Thank you. Subject, student study team guide approval, submitting for board consideration. The Board of Education shall approve all assessments, evaluations used as a part of the educational program of the district. Facts and analysis. The Benton Harbor Area School Student Study Team is designed as a school-based proactive problem-solving process. The process focuses on creating, monitoring, and refining individualized academic and behavioral interventions. The SST process is a general education practice that should not be viewed as a direct referral to special education. Policy reference 2623, student assessment, 2210, curriculum development. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve adoption of the student study team guide.
All right, can I have a motion to approve staff report T3?
So move.
Motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report T3. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Secretary Triplett, please call the vote.
President Robinson, I do have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. You see, I'm trying to whip this vote through. Treasurer Creighton, go ahead. You have the floor.
Definitely. I think it's a great tool that's being used. I did just have one question / concern. I noticed that there were names published in there. I just wonder, is this going to be a live document, or is this going to be published? I noticed that some people are no longer with the district or are moving positions, but the titles were the same. So I just kind of wonder about that. Is this going to be a live document is my question, and or is it going to be published?
So President Robinson, do I respond?
Yes, ma'am, you have the floor to respond.
Okay, so there were two questions there. Some documents are published. This particular document can be published, or it can't. Parents can't have access to it. It does serve as an internal document policy guide on how to run these meetings, but certainly anybody has access to any of our documents. As for the names printed in, we always try to acknowledge, who did the work as we revise these, and we typically revise them yearly. That part of it gets revised. So once we go through revisions, then new names get put on or other names get dropped off, etc.
All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding staff report T3?
So yes, do they have those persons right now that's working for the district? I know you guys are putting in hours, loads and loads and loads of hours. Have you all identified those individuals that would be actually doing this particular work as of right now.
Doing the work as in, I'm sorry, should I respond?
Yeah, in the report, you know, there were names in there that's no longer in those positions and stuff. Have you guys updated it? How soon would that be updated with the changes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood the original question that Treasurer Creighton asked. You are asking about when we name people in positions. Is that what the question is? I need to be clear. I thought you were talking about the contributors in the beginning. Are we talking about within documents if there's a name?
Yes, within documents.
Thank you. Yes, we always, I mean, once you all approve it, we always update that. Like, for example, you'll see some documents that have like the Title IX coordinator, which is usually Cleather Nichols. But if that ever changes, then we go in and we change it and you know, before we publish it, because it actually has to be accurate so people know who to contact for whatever.
So those names that are in the document right now, Dr. Sheldon, are people that are in those positions right now as we meet and get ready to vote on this.
Yes, they should be there. It should be a direct reflection right now. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, any other questions from the board regarding staff report T3? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens, Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Awesome. Staff report T4, Dr. Shelton.
Thank you. Subject, digital literacy purchase approval. Submitting for board consideration. Purchases over $25,000 need board approval according to the most recent State of Michigan Department of Education threshold. Facts and analysis. Benton Harbor Area Schools has recently received the Michigan Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant. The major area of focus is on literacy at all grades. The development and reestablishment of our district school libraries is a foundational activity that is supported by the grant and supports the focus of literacy development. One area that must be addressed, upgraded, and integrated is the digital literacy access. You see the totals there for each of the schools. Policy reference 6320, purchasing. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the purchase of digital literacy items as presented.
All right, can I have a motion to approve staff report T4?
So moved.
I move to.
Okay, the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Trustee Buchanan, would you like to support?
I support.
All right, the motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report T4. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
You know what? I just saw MLK Junior. I think that's elementary. I think they have like junior high on the end of that.
No, it's MLK Junior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding staff report T4? Secretary Triplett, please call the vote.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have staff report T5. Dr. Shelton.
President Robinson. So I do see an omission in what was just voted on and approved, and it doesn't have the Follett was left off of this last one. We're purchasing it from Follett, and it's not listed anywhere there. thoughts.
So does that at all, the board, she's wanting to clarify the company that the digital literacy purchase was coming from. And can you repeat that name again, Dr. Shelton?
Follett, F-O-L-L-E-T-T.
All right.
President Robinson,
Yes, Secretary Triplett.
that was presented when she did do the presentation last week. We did know that Follett, it was stated to us that Follett would be the company that we would be purchasing from. So we were able to go for it. I think we should be able to go for it and leave that vote as is. If it's not a problem for the rest of the trustees. However, the name of MLK is Martin Luther King Elementary School. I didn't know that it was Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. I've never heard it called Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. So that might be the official name, but so I can understand where you were coming from, Ms. Rockette. The junior threw us off. It's MLK Martin Luther King Elementary School. Thank you.
All right, and does any members of the board have an issue with the purchasing company that was clarified? All right, you can continue, Dr. Shelton.
Thank you, and sorry about that. Okay, subject purchase of student computer devices. Reason for board approval, purchases over $25,000 need board approval according to the most recent State of Michigan Department of Education threshold. Policy reference 6320 purchasing. Facts and analysis. Upgrades to student technology is necessary to remain competitive and to support our educational goals. It has been several years since this group of computer devices has been upgraded. You see that in front of you. And again, it's omitted. The recommended action that Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve the purchase of student computers devices as presented. And I would like to add, because we did not do the presentation again, that you would have gotten these purchases piecemeal throughout the year, but the entire country ran into running out of stock. We tried and tried for months. We thought we had vendors secured here and there, and we finally have been able to get a vendor to get us this, to make sure that we use the 2021 monies to support our one-to-one purchasing, one-to-one student devices.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve staff report T5?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report T5. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I do have a question, President Robinson.
You have the floor, Treasurer Creighton.
Just for clarity, I don't think it's in that staff report, but just for clarity, this is paid for out of the literacy grant, correct?
The computer devices?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
No, actually there's multiple funding sources. There are some Title I because schools had individual Title I purchases. There's some Title IV because when COVID hit, we were allowed to move some monies around to make sure everybody had a device. So there are actually multiple funding sources.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding staff report T5?
As it relates to staff report T5, since there are several money sources that were used, is there any way that we can get that information included for clarification purposes so that we will know how the money is moving and where the money is coming from?
Sure.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding staff report T5? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. And just to provide further clarification regarding staff report T4, the link attached to the agenda actually has the purchasing company in it. the clarification that Dr. Shelton wanted to provide. So it is listed there as well.
Thank you.
All right, next we have staff report T6. Dr. Shelton.
Yep. Subject, Big Idea Upton Foundation grant application, submitting for board consideration. It is the intent of the board to consider grant proposals and applications for their potential to enhance educational opportunities, educational environments, and physical and mental growth of each student. Facts and analysis. The Big Idea Upton Foundation grant is a highly competitive $50,000 grant, up to $50,000 grant that would potentially allow us to continue to work the work of our project-based student-led Benton Harbor History Project that was developed earlier in the spring. This project had previously been approved by the superintendent. Policy reference 6110 grant funds, recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the application submission of the Big Idea Foundation grant.
All right, can I have a motion to approve staff report T6?
So moved.
Support.
The motion has been made by trustee Rockette Martin and supported by trustee Buchanan that we approve staff report T6. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm using AirPods. I apologize.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Shelton, and good luck with the Big Idea Upton Foundation grant application.
Thank you.
Next, we have good news for the special education department.
Yes, and before we go to that, I did want to point out to the trustees that we did pull staff report number 7, the equipment transfer request. The CTE director felt that we needed to just collect a little bit more information to provide to the board, because there were a lot of really good questions that we needed to examine a little bit closer, and we plan on bringing it back. It was not on our part time sensitive, so it may come back in July, but we wanted to be able to provide a more solid plan of what we are planning to do to reopen cosmetology in the district. Lorinda, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Good evening, Board of Education and community members and staff. I never get tired of sharing good news. I hope you guys never get tired of hearing it. I know I've presented before, but I would love to just share again on our progress here in the special education department. If you could scroll down, I don't know. There we go. A couple more slides. There we go. As I shared before, the state, Michigan Department of Education has 14 indicators that we are monitored on 3 times a year. The indicators in green are there we go. Results indicators, and the indicators in blue are compliance indicators. And next slide, please. Oh, this is not going to come through very well on this particular Google slide. It is better in PowerPoint, but I don't know if you can.
Lorinda,
there.
Why don't you just jump to the end?
Sure.
Because it actually is not going to come through, and just explain the good news.
There we go. The good news is that despite quite a bit of compliance issues in the past and in the last 8 years, as things had increasingly become more and more difficult to close out compliance issues while new compliance issues opened up, we were able to get a handle on it and start to close out the things that were overdue, and then timely close out the things that were coming in and reduce the amount of compliance issues and complaints coming into our department, and close out everything that was open to the point where we are at now, where we have nothing compliance wise to work on as far as special education. We do have some repetitive problem areas that have been an issue over the last 8 years. One is B4AB, which is suspension and expulsion. This is the suspension of students beyond 10 days, 10 school days, and expulsion. Some of the root causes for that were lack of alternatives for suspension, lack of classroom management skills, and policies that require suspension or expulsion. Solutions included training on restorative practices, training on safe and civil schools, and a new code of conduct. The other area that often came up is B11, which is child find. It's the district's responsibility to find students who potentially could have a disability and make sure that they are evaluated. Some of the root causes for that were lack of written procedures, lack of communication, or evaluation team of collaboration. The solutions, and these are just a few, there are so many solutions, but we did formalize a special education handbook. We have training for all staff on those procedures in that special education handbook. And we have new evaluation team members and procedures for that as well. So we continue to work to get better and monitor ourselves and make sure that we are ahead of the game when it comes to compliance.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the special education good news presentation? I know that we got a chance to give you positive feedback last week, so thank you for tuning in again today and giving us a presentation for those new community members that are logged on. So congratulations, Benton Harbor Area Schools. All right, thank you, Dr. Shelton, for your efforts today as well. We appreciate all of your hard work. I know that our agenda has been very lengthy because there's a lot of deadlines that you've been attempting to meet as well, so thank you for your efforts. Up next, we have Mr. Miller with staff report SS1 concerning the MHSAA adoption resolution.
Thank you, thank you. Staff report 1, subject Michigan High School Athletic Association Resolution, MHSAA. The reason for board consideration, MHSAA requires board approval for athletic participation in MHSAA sponsored interscholastic competition. Facts and analysis, MHSAA provides student athletes a handbook that outlines acceptable behavior and expectations for student athletics. Each school that participates in MHSAA sponsored programs are required to adopt this resolution. The resolution states that Benton Harbor area schools will abide by all rules, regulations, and guidelines as outlined in the handbook for the 2021-2022 school year. This resolution is to be approved for the school year ending on July 31st, 2022. Policy reference, there's none. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the resolution of the MHSAA as presented for the school year 2021-2022.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Can I have a motion to approve staff report SS1?
To approve.
All right, so the motion has been made by Trustee Buchanan to approve staff report SS1. Is there a second or support?
Support.
Support.
The motion has been made by Trustee Buchanan and supported by Vice President Bradley. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report SS1? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Yes.
Trustee Rackett.
Yes.
Martin. Motion carried.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. The Concentric Educational Solutions update.
All right, this is the last update from Concentric Education Solutions. They were our providers, our partners this year with home visits. This year, they conducted 450 home visits for 376 students. There were 220 hard contacts where they spoke to someone. It was 195 soft contacts where they left letters, and 35 no contacts this school year. Overall home visit outcomes, the hard contacts was 49%, soft contacts were 43%, and no contacts was 8% of the overall outcomes. The hard contact outcomes, 108, the concentric met with parents or guardian, 56 resulted where they met with family members, 27 they met with student, and 24 it was incorrect address where they spoke with the current resident, and 4 they met with a family friend. And the primary reason for the absences that we saw were we did home visits for wellness checks for COVID-19, which was 49. And this is the last cohort. It is 6 cohorts, and this is the final update for concentric.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the Concentric Educational Solutions update? Just want to say thank you for providing your updates to us each month on the progress with Concentric Education Solutions, and I really appreciated this part of the presentation, Mr. Miller, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Mr. Miller, the athletic updates.
Okay. Starting off with our spring sports track updates, our girls track team increased in participation as we had over 20 girls participate on the team. Some of them also played softball. 19 boys participated in track, which included some played baseball as well. The highest event we had finished at the MHSAA state regionals were Desiree Cowles. She placed 5th in the hurdles, and this was our first year in this event. The boys team 4x100 relay team placed 8th place, and the boys 4x200 relay team placed 5th. Our baseball team finished the season this Saturday. They had a convincing victory over Battle Creek Central to end the regular season, but we lost this past Saturday in the district first round. This was a very young and inexperienced team. Senior Kentra Pullian and junior Trussell Singleton led the way with as starting pitchers. They was the top players in the infield and the highest batting average on the team with 300 and 280 batting average. Kentrell, he just signed a letter of intent to play basketball at Eastern New Mexico for next year. So shout out to him and his basketball career. We also made strides during the season with Devin Perkins. He made such an improvement during the season behind the plate. Coach Jennings is also looking forward to him coming back next year to start as the catcher. Our softball team, we had young coach Trevin Alexander, who took over the softball team coaching duties this year. The numbers were low because we shared athletes with the track team. The girls played really hard and improved each game. Risha Hill had a solid year at pitching and shortstop, while Deidreana McFall improved each game as a catcher for the Lady Tigers. And Coach Alexander is looking forward to improving skills during the off season. Our fall sports starts officially August the 9th, 2021. And today I just got an update about a proposal for us to get into a conference. Our athletic director is getting information now. We just got this information today. So he's getting information on the conference. So our student athletes can receive all conference accolades, and also our team can win some conference championships in the conference. And that's the end of athletic updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Miller regarding the athletic updates?
Yes, I just wanted to say real quick, Mr. Miller, that is good news to hear that we're going to be in a athletic conference or talks to get back into an athletic conference, because I know that athletics is one of the cornerstones of our school district, and it'd be good to, you know, see our students go to the different schools. I had the opportunity to work in athletics when I was a student, and going to the different schools in the conferences was very interesting, to say the least. So I say that's good news right there.
Thank you, Vice President Bradley. Any additional questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding the athletic updates?
Yes, President Robinson, can you hear me?
You have the floor, Trustee Buchanan.
I would like for that's Miller, right? Just got to talking. That we need to start recruiting like the football team. They got fourth, fifth grade, and by the time the girls get to the high school, they will know how to play. They know the fundamentals of the game, and because they won't be embarrassing. Because a couple of girls say, "Well, we don't know how to play." So we need to start at elementary, like they used to do band and football. Mr. Bonds had a jump start program for the boys. So we need to work on the girls having a slow pitch and a fast pitch to help them when they get up there. Because I played softball in school, and you don't want to lose. But I'm gonna try to find out, can we do something to get elementary girls interest in that? And keep up the good work.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Any other comments from the board regarding the athletic updates? All right, thank you, Mr. Miller, for your time and your efforts today as well. You are sincerely appreciated. Next up on the agenda, we have old business. So the topic that I have for old business is Black Wall Street, and I have an actual statement that I'm going to be reading today. The Board of Education values the voice and express concerns of all citizens of the Benton Harbor Area School District. Recently, members of the community have requested the board support on the Black Wall Street initiative. We have consulted with counsel and have been advised that given our current expectations from the state of Michigan and the Department of Treasury as it relates to finances, operations, and facilities, it would be premature for the board to vote or take action that it may impact our ability to develop an efficient facilities plan. We are currently committed to improving the education of our students and would like your continued support in our efforts to do so. So that is our comment at this time regarding the Black Wall Street initiative. Is there education? All right, moving along, is there any new business from the Board of Education? The only thing I'll note is the same thing that I reiterated. I will reiterate what I mentioned earlier, that we are going to one board meeting. Just want to make sure everyone remembers that, for July, and we'll be in person. All right, next on the agenda is open public comment, and I will pause for a second to allow Liz to pull up her time.
Madam President, somebody's not muted and you hear a lot of talking in the background or TV or something.
I think that may be Trustee Buchanan, but I think she's trying to remain on mute so she can speak when she needs to. Trustee Buchanan, if you can mute for a second so we can get through public comment.
Yeah, okay. You know what happened? The girl next door, my window's up, and she came home. That's what he heard. So she left already.
All right.
She had her music blast.
Okay, so next is open public comment. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there were 3 areas for comment on the agenda, of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items only, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. We're going to begin today with Mr. Lazarus. You have the floor.
President Robinson, I'm sorry. May I ask a quick question before we move into public comment? It's about public comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I just wondered what the timeline was for follow-up. I know that, and I'm grateful that we've had a lot of participation with the public comments. I just want to ensure that all of our individuals that are speaking and asking questions have received a follow-up. Is that being done monthly, weekly, to ensure that we're being efficient?
All right, Dr. Townsend, would you like to respond to that? I know you provided a timeline for us previously, maybe in our March meeting. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, no worries. We try to get information as soon as we get it, but we ask for at least from regular meeting to regular meeting due to our regularly scheduled jobs. But within 30 days, we try to ensure we get any responses right back to the individual. And so far, we've been doing a great job with that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lazarus, you have the floor. Thank you, Treasurer Creighton.
Okay, no, I do not want to speak over everybody else. Okay. Greeting, President Robinson. I am rising up for a Black Wall Street with a spirit of excellence and stability for Ben Harbor youth and families. This is a direct message to you demanding that your office and school board President Robinson call a special emergency meeting to rezone the school zones back to secure our land immediately and put Black Wall Street zones back on the agenda as the only discussion item for a yes vote yesterday. Will you rise up with us or continue to shape a future that chips away at our land and resources? Thank you.
Thank you. I know that we don't respond, but I just wanted to say, great job, young man. I always appreciate when we have our students that are here making comments. Next, we have Ms. Gavin. You have.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings, Superintendent Townsend and School Board. I am rising up for Black Wall Street with the spirit of excellence and stability for Benton Harbor youth and families. This is a direct message to you demanding that your office and School Board President Robinson call a special emergency meeting to rezone the school zones back to secure our land immediately and put Black Wall Street zones back on the agenda as the only discussion item for a yes vote yesterday. Will you rise up with us or continue to shape a future that chips away at our land and our resources? Now, I heard you mention, I'm not sure if that was a board vote or if that was just a letter from President Robinson. I would love to receive feedback if there's some clarity, if the entire board voted unanimously to forego this opportunity. I don't understand what type of lawyer would have you completely abandon an idea that would protect yourselves as a district. I think you should reconsider your counsel, and this is not the first time that the district or the city has received bad advice. If you're not getting advice to protect yourselves as a district, this district was a public school zone, and you're talking about abandoning that and sticking with a program that tells you to remove half of your land. If you're looking to bring students back and you voted for a plan to get rid of half of your land, where are you going to put the kids when they come back? And is that an integral conversation about bringing kids back if you're getting rid of your land? So I hear a lot of beautiful language, but what I'm seeing in writing is conversations about demolition, conversations about outsourcing, real things on the board agenda that don't match the integrity of bringing students back. And so it takes a school board with courage and a sense of identity to this community to put Black Wall Street zones back on the agenda. Sometimes you have to listen to your heart, because the lawyers are not going to tell you what's in your best interest. I highly recommend looking at a council that actually believes in the people, because we will rise up and we will not allow our district or any part of our land to just be given away without a serious conversation and a peaceful, good battle. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss A.D. Bell.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Amby Bell. I am a citizen of Benton Harbor. And I have been publicly at these meetings for, I would say, the last month and a half. And I am so very discouraged, which is sad. The anxiety that it even takes to approach this board and speak to you, and know that I leave a meeting and I was not heard. I have 3 students that I wish I could put back into Benton Harbor area schools. But the more I sit on these meetings, the more I listen to you not listen to the community. I would never put kids in this district. We are not heard as a community. That is devastating. There is no clear dialogue, no clear communication. Emails are not returned. We bring up things at meetings and you say you'll talk about it the next meeting because of, from what Dr. Townsend just said, the follow-up is within that month. But no one hears anything back, and then we are avoided. The district is being dismantled, and there's really nothing we can do but sit and watch it. It's so disheartening. I voted because I believed in some of the people sitting in these seats. But I couldn't trust a kid in this district. You won't even protect the land. It's our land. We have not yet been able to speak at a meeting. We have not been able to yet present, but there have been numerous other individuals that are not a part of this district who we have watched and heard give presentations that, I don't know, I believe the superintendent put one person on the district, one company, I can't really remember the name of it, but they were, I don't know what they were helping you guys do. I believe it was the strategic plan. But we live here. We love here. We are here. And we are dismissed by this board. And yet you read a letter. I would really like for someone to please email me that, President. If you could please email me that letter, I would appreciate that so much. But I appreciate the dismissal and I appreciate everything that I have been able to see. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Haywood for open public comment.
Yeah, as I've come to this board quite a few times.
Mr. Haywood, I'm not sure what it is, but each time you go to speak, I can't hear you as loud as most people.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. That's a little bit better.
All right. One of the things that we talk about is transparency when we're dealing with our district and our children. And in order to even help the district, you have to have an understanding of how we got in this position. First of all, where the governor comes talking about shutting down and making it just K through 8th grade. And then when you talk about Black Wall Street, they tell you, do you have an efficient facility plan? But Cornerstone Alliance was allowed to come before the board prior to you all and have a plan, executive recommendation to eliminate over half of the school district's schools off the map, just totally shut them down. And so in order to even help the district, you know, one of our colleagues said, and one of your board members made a very good point. In order to help the district, you study outsourcing. If you outsource stuff, you have to pay the people that you outsourcing these jobs and these things to, for one. Most of the individuals that hold major positions in the district are not even from the district. So they cannot understand the challenges that this district has been up under. And when you're talking about bringing in people with a strategic plan, that's generally one of the things that you come in with, a strategic plan. The groups that were brought in, how could you possibly have them give you a strategic plan when they don't even understand this district or this area? You know, don't even understand the culture. Two Sigma Group sent the letter to Liz Goodwin, the superintendent, on May the 27th from Mr. James Beasley. They presented a plan. And I was wondering, have they been gotten back with? Have you allowed them to come speak before the board? Do you plan on allowing them to come speak before the board? This same group, I did investigation in regards to some of the schools that they've turned around because they're familiar with the African-American community. They're familiar with a lot of the strategic plans that has been laid down to dismantle the districts in Michigan per se. Benton Harbor is one of the last schools standing right now because we fought back as a community. You know, and I can't say what you all's agenda is, who all agenda that you're following as board members, but a lot of the decisions that are being made is based on a lot of content, but there's no action behind the content, and the content that you're receiving is just information that sounds good, but it has little lasting effect when it comes to moving this district forward. I've been following this for a long time. I've watched it being done from various players. And when I saw Whirlpool give you $100,000, at that point, I understood who was actually going to be making these decisions, okay? And when we deal with reality, when it comes to these children, we have to deal with reality. And reality of the situation is right now that we have to make the votes that are being cast be in the best interest of moving the district forward. And right now, there's been a lot of content, as I say, but the things that are being laid out, even when you talk about bringing in somebody to facilitate an educational plan, the group that you partner with, that the superintendent said he worked with at his previous district, can we see some of the data? What is the stuff that they have accomplished? We have enough people right here in Benton Harbor, Michigan, alumni that know this district, that the kids have a lot of respect for, and we don't even have them hired at the district. And so when you talk about helping, I just can't see it. You know, the reason I support Black Wall Street, in order to have a district, you got to have the land. So how can you have the land if you're outsourcing everything that you have? And I would appreciate if we can go to Munisex so we can trace every dollar that's being spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood. Next, we have Mr. Turner.
Good evening, school board and community members. Quick questions for the board and the school superintendent. I hope you guys can respond back. Number one is, I understand that the county have uplifted the COVID-19 restrictions and so forth, but for the American people who do watch school board and so forth, who's not able to attend in person, will the school board vote to continue to have in-person as well as Zoom conference meetings so that people in the public and so forth who don't feel comfortable going back to public, can they still join by Zoom? Number two is, I understand that next year there's another CTE program that's coming to the school district, which I won't disclose tonight. However, my concern is that if you guys are going to approve that program, will you be allowed to bring back the JRTC program, which many Benton Harbor residents did attend? Because I don't think it's fair that we bring back that program because that individual wants to fulfill job positions when we have the U.S. Army who serve our nation and protect the American people for any threats against us. Well, we can go on with our day-to-day life, but we cannot bring back that program. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Turner, for your comments. Next, we have Thomas. Thomas? Okay, I'm not sure. Miss Thomas, I'm not sure if you know you're muted. I can't hear you. Or you may not have connected to audio. All right, is there anyone else on the line?
My phone. Here, this is
Hello.
Thomas.
Go ahead, Thomas.
So the lawyer said that the representatives of this city are not allowed to do anything when it comes to initiating plans that are from the people that live in the city when it comes to building something of worth. But when it comes to selling stuff, the lawyer don't step in and say nothing to y'all. I mean, and I, for one, I don't like these one-way conversations where we just talk to y'all just like we talking to the air and y'all don't say anything back because y'all don't have to, but y'all have to. I don't know who made the rule of we don't respond to our constituents until we feel like it was something that we want to talk about. This is not going to be that game we play. It's not. This is not how it's going to be because that's how it used to be. All the other stuff that y'all used to doing is not. This is not how it's going to go. I don't understand. I don't understand the hesitation to do something that's going to properly put us in position to have something. And no lawyer can step in and say, hey, y'all not allowed to sell that building. The lawyer is telling y'all who to sell it to. But when it comes to us saying, hey, let's put something in place that's going to make sure that our kids have a future, the lawyer tell y'all can't. Y'all just say, oh, okay. I'm, you know what? I guess I am talking to the empty air. And okay. I don't. Right.
All right, I think Mr. Thomas is done. Is there anyone else on the line for open public comment? All right, I don't see any hands raised nor any additional voices indicating that they would like to speak. So at this particular time, we are going to pass the mic to Dr. Townsend for his superintendent announcements and comments. Dr. Townsend.
Thank you, President Robinson. I want you to know that summer school registration is still open. The deadline has been extended to June 14th at 12 o'clock p.m. You can sign up on our website. I do want to share that we have right now currently over 200 students that signed up for summer school. We're very, very excited about that. So families, please get your young people registered for summer school so they can get that learning over the summer. Also, I want to share, currently we're interviewing for our middle school principal job. As you know, we had the privilege of allowing Principal Roseberg to move to the high school to provide stability and effective leadership, but we have to replace him. So we're currently interviewing now. In fact, I interviewed a gentleman today. We're interviewing for a middle school principal. So those in the community, if you have candidates out there, we want to keep it going, hiring people from the community to work in the community. And if we can't find people internally, the goal is obviously to just find the best person, period. This academic year is carved in history. Shout out to all educators in Benton Harbor area schools who remain strong and brave in the midst of this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very, very difficult year educating our young people during a pandemic, but our students were resilient, our families was resilient, our educators were resilient, and we thank everyone for their support and their endurance during this academic year under this pandemic. Major shout out there. I want to make a comment on the athletic opportunity to get back into a conference. I believe a couple of years ago, we removed our football team from our conference, and ultimately all of our sports left the conference. So in order for our young people to be acknowledged athletically, the bar is set extremely high. We have to win district championships, regional championships, and state championships. Now we potentially have an opportunity to compete for conference championships And we do know, we always talk about academics, arts, and athletics, and that's one way to really increase our athletics, to get our young people these conference accolades that increase opportunity to open up that avenue for more young people going to colleges or secondary opportunities based off of their athletic abilities. And we're going to ensure at all levels, arts, athletics, academics, military, whatever, young people that graduate Benton Harbor area schools should have opportunity in any post-secondary society. And we're very excited about that. Very last thing, all of our principals, teachers, I don't care what role you served in the district, volunteers, alumni who've done amazing work, just volunteering, pitching in where you can. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You did it for the kids. At the end of the day, it's all about student achievement and enhancing their education experience. Our hope is to get better over time. Over time, we will be better. Over time, in every aspect, we will get better. But change is not an event, it's a process. I'm asking us to not only continue to be patient, but trust the process. It's hard, it's difficult. Most people quit, but we're dedicated and we're committed. So thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. Thank you to all of our educators who have served and who are continuing to serve. And I look forward to talking to you all on June 22nd at a special board meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Townsend. So next up on the agenda, we have board member announcements and comments. I did not have a designated order that I was gonna go in, so I'll allow the board today. Is there anyone that would like to place their board comment first?
I'll go first.
All right, Trustee Rocket Martin, you have the
Yes,
floor.
I'd like to say hats off to Special Ed again for their fine work in bringing the district into compliance, total compliance. That took a lot of work and a lot of dedicated time and effort, and I appreciate it, and hats off to you. I also would like to congratulate Mr. Roseborough. I just waited to say my comments at the end. I first met Mr. Roseborough, I think he was a second grade teacher in a summer school program that I was principal of. So hats off to Mr. Roseborough. I know he'll do a fine job. He has the kids' best interests at heart, and he is an alumni. So congratulations to you. And to Mr. Moran, what can I say? Mr. Moran was my grandson's 7th grade teacher. He came in as a sub, a long-term sub, and he was fantastic. In so much that I asked him, can you be his 8th grade teacher? And believe it or not, he was, just for a little while before they switched him, or he switched himself to the middle school. So I've had the privilege of working with Mr. Moran in the after-school program, the 21st Century program. And he still keeps in contact with my grandson. He asked me about, but the thing about it that I like, he has a wonderful rapport with children. He is a true caring for kids, and he'll go out of his way to make sure that, that he helps to take care of our kids. So congratulations, Mr. Moran. You are so deserving of that position. Congratulations to my daughter, Miss Shannon Rockett. This was her idea. I had nothing to do with it, but I find it a little ironic because she's becoming principal in the building that I started as a principal in 21 years later. I started in 2000 and she's coming into 2021. So congratulations to you, Ms. Shannon. I am available if you need my help. I don't offer unless they ask, but I am available if you need my help. So congratulations to you also. I'm trying to think. And to all the teachers, the newly hired staff, and again, like Dr. Townsend say, to all those that work so hard to make our district a success. My hats are off to you, and I congratulate you and applaud you for your hard work, especially during a pandemic year. This was like a year that we've never seen before, but we managed to get through it, and we're still getting through it. So thank you for your service and your hard work.
Ms. Robinson.
All right, thank you, Trustee Rocket Martin. Trustee Buchanan, you have the floor for your board comment or announcement.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate all the people that called in, and I would like for Ms. Robinson as the president and the other board members to know that when I came in and got on the phone, I had misplaced my phone. So that's where I was so late, and I didn't know. I'm not voting on nothing that I don't know anything about, but I'm not like Trent saying, you can't please everybody. But my concern is I'm happy. Just in our board retreat, I was saying, hi to people within. Fred gonna be good. Shannon that little girl is so good. When I used to mess with her, she tell me, talk about the library though when we have our meetings up there. But everything will be okay, and I appreciate Mr. Triplett. Because sometimes he be saying what, I think that runs in his family. His sister was on the board. I be getting ready to ask the question, there he goes saying it. Thank you. Put it in the proper perspective. But I would like for Ms. Robinson to know when I'm late, I got out of my car and thought my phone was in the house and I didn't have it. So that's why I came in and I was, what y'all voting for? Because I didn't know. And I'm not voting on nothing. If nobody in this world know that I've worked 32 years, been out of school, and spent all my money on these kids, and still doing it. I love being out of school, but we got to continue to not listen to everything. You have a president, and you got a superintendent. They ask me stuff, I could call, ask them. Everybody shouldn't be talking to the public. And we got to get together. Come on, people. Let's work together to get things done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan. Next up, Treasurer Creighton, would you like to go?
Sure, no problem. I just want to, actually, I have a few things that I wanted to say, and I was actually working on figuring out how I wanted to say it, but I want to thank everyone. We do hear you. Sometimes I think timing is everything. And so sometimes we don't always, we're not always prepared to respond to things, but one of our norms is to pause. And so just know that in a pause, I do hear you, we hear you. Also, I wanted to, on Friday, I had the opportunity to experience my first graduation as a board member. And I must say, I had anxiety throughout the day on being in the heat, being out in public due to COVID. I have not been commingling with individuals outside of my home. And so I am very grateful and thankful for the opportunity. I did conquer, my fear. And it was great. It was great to see my fellow colleagues in person for the first time in a group. It was so good. I must say, I think I might have overdid it a little bit. I went from not touching or being, within 6 feet. I did wear my mask, but I had the opportunity to shake or dab of the graduates' hands or elbows or whatever. We dabbed and dapped each other up. So that was great. It gave me a great sense of pride as I've experienced 20 years now as a Benton Harbor High School graduate. The graduation speaker, Dr. Reverend Earl Fisher, I felt like almost, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like a Kojic church, but it was the energy was so high in there. At that graduation, it was good that we had an alumni. When I tell you he did a great job, he left us with the message that it's in our blood. So as Benton Harbor High School, Benton Harbor Area School Tigers is in our blood. He reiterated that so many times, and that's just been ringing in my mind. 20 years ago, actually 21 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Larry Nunley, who is the brother, I didn't actually know this before that, to Miss Mamie Yarbrough, Commissioner Yarbrough. It's her brother, and I met him at a summer program through Upper Bound. And from that, he asked us, or he taught us through career development and exploration, he asked us if there's something that you need to choose a career, it's something that you would do free. And 21 years ago, honestly, when I chose education as something I would do free, I did not really understand what I was saying. But I stand before you today saying that I know 21 years ago when I declared an education major from engineering that I made the right decision. Sometimes, they say our gifts make room for us. I am very grateful, honored to say today that my gift has made room for me, that I am doing something that I would do for free, obviously, because I am. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. I pray that you guys continue to pour into us. Like I said, timing is everything. And so in the moment, my intentions are pure always, to do the right thing. And so the last thing.
You muted yourself, Treasurer Buchanan, Treasurer Creighton. It looks like, did she fall off? Okay, so it looks like Treasurer Creighton dropped off. So if she comes back, we'll allow her to wrap up her comment. It seems like she was just one other point, so we'll allow her to pick up. Next, Trustee Bonds.
Madam President, before I go on with my comments, I want to give you applause. It is 8:40, and I think this is a record for the school board since I've been on it. Congratulations on moving the agenda, and we're not here to 10 or 11. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
First, before I want to say this, people can judge me for what I've done. And I think when somebody's out in the public eye, that's what they do. They judge you. So I'm fully comfortable with who I am and what I stand for and what I've always stood for. However, I will not be intimidated or bullied or harassed. And I'm stating it today so that it's on public record. One of the passionate individuals who parents have attacked my family on social media and going other avenues. I won't tolerate it, and I will do everything in my power to protect my family and any business venture that I'm a part of. I need to state that on public record so it's there. Graduation was wonderful. Dr. Townsend, your speech was powerful and motivating. Don't be an extra in your own movie. So was Dr. Earl Fisher's speech. And I want to say this, don't forget next week, we have our Juneteenth parade. So Benton Harbor, we got to come out and support that. But the high school is still looking fabulous with the alumni. The graduation was fabulous. Prom was fabulous. I hate that I missed the 8th grade celebration that they had today. I'm confident in the direction where we're going. There is one way to avoid criticism, and that's to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. And that's by Aristotle. And that's what I will end with the song by Stephanie Mills and Mr. Brookins, Where is the Love? And that's the end for me.
Thank you, Trustee Bowens. Next, we have Secretary Triplett. Are you ready for your comment? And then we'll go Vice President Bradley after you.
Madam President, to the Board of Education, I have, first of all, I do want to commend you for moving the agenda along. I really don't have a lot to say, but I have a lot to say. I have been on this board for 6 months, and it has been very interesting, to say the least. I think there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. I am very concerned on several levels. I do understand now, when I sat on the other side of the table, the position that the board members were in. And so when you jump into these seats, you learn a lot. I would like to say to this Board of Education, we are the Board of Education. All citizens are welcome to come to this Board of Education and express their opinion. But the same respect that our citizens expect from us should be the same respect that they give to us. Just because I don't say doesn't mean that I do not know. I have heard people come and say how long they've been here and they've watched this and they've watched that. And I've been here. And I've seen some of these same people switch it, change it, rearrange it. I'll say that again, switch it, change it, rearrange it, depending on what it is that's on the table or who it is that's sitting in the seats. I am a Tiger. My stripes have never changed. I've never wavered in my commitment to Benton Harbor area schools, never. No matter what happened to me, no matter how it happened to me, I've seen people where situations happen and they switch the whole narrative. But one thing that I want it to be known to the citizens of this community, that I do hear you. I do respect you. I do appreciate you. In our board retreat, one of the things that we had a discussion about was really understanding the role of the Board of Education and what our responsibilities are. That we are the overseers of the governance of the school district, the oversight of the school district, and holding people accountable, including ourselves. And so the pedagogy requires in Supervision and Leadership 101 that when you come into a position of leadership, Dr. Pradley from Western Michigan University asked us when we were in our first class for supervision, trying to become principals. He asked the question, when you stepped into your building for the first day, who's in charge? And some of the students said they were, because they were the principal of that building. And he shared with them and asked this question of us: how can you be in charge of something that you've only been in for 1 minute or 10 minutes? So as a newly elected board member, I know that it is important that I watch and that I observe and that I see what is presented to me. I have had the opportunity to see this district at its very, very best. At its very, very best. And I am aware of those tactics of dismantling that have taken place in Benton Harbor area schools. But we are still standing and we are still fighting. Just because we don't do it when you want us to do it, or even how you want us to do it, does not mean that we're not doing it. And so I want to say to everybody in closing, because we did finally get out of the meeting early, and I'm going on, which I should have just followed my first mind, and just say I don't have anything to say because it is so much to be said, and it's so much, but there is a protocol and there is an ethical imperative that must take place. I want to say to the Board of Education, as Ms. Creighton said, it was really good to see you all at the graduation face-to-face. I'm looking forward to our first open meeting in July. There's a lot of work that will be done in between time, and let's continue to stay focused on the children and what's best for the children in Ben Harbor area schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. We have Vice President Bradley.
Oh, Lord, I had to follow Secretary Triplett. Woo, that's a tough act to follow. First of all, I want to say good evening to everyone. Thank you all for coming out, to our central administrative staff. Thank you for hanging in there with us, as you also diligently do. I know you all have a long day. I'm gonna try to be brief. First of all, I would like to say congrats to our 2021 class. Beautiful ceremony, beautiful speakers. It was glad to see that. And we had one young man who was crying, and I almost started crying. I'm like, y'all can't be making me cry. I'm trying to be strong for y'all, but I'm so happy for everyone. I want our graduates to be encouraged as you embark on the next adventure. If anyone is from the class of 21 is listening, or if they happen to listen to this call, stay encouraged, keep an open mind. Remember, Ben Harbor is always going to be here. This is a large country, bigger world, and there's a lot to see from coast to coast. So just know that this place right here in Michigan is always going to be home. I also want to say that I want to congratulate our new administrators, Mr. Roseberg. I was very impressed at when I went over to Fairplain. I don't know Mr. Morant, but congratulations. And Ms. Rockette, I do know. Congratulations to you. And she was one of my brother's teachers years ago. So I'm so happy for her. Let me see. Just want to reiterate that the strategic plan does involve the community. So we will have the chance and to make it culturally competent for our community, because we will have input on that. And so, like I said, just keep in mind who you would like to see be involved from the community. Other thing I want to say is that I have no hidden agendas. I stepped up as a proud alumni of the school district, a proud 2005 graduate, which will be what, a few days from now. I marched across Fisher Field on June 10th, 2005. So what's that, about 5 years? Who's counting? But when now, like I said, I stepped up when no one would step up, because right at that moment when I ran, we were on the verge of a state takeover. I will vote in the best interest of what's for our students. And just remember that there are multiple constituencies in this district. And it's not just one special interest group. So let's always keep that in mind.
Special interest, really.
And so anyway, most people who know me know that I am very accessible, and that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Treasurer Creighton, you're back. Are you aware of what that final point is that you wanted to make?
Yes, did you guys hear the point that I was making on Black Wall Street?
No, that might have been what we missed.
Yes, I was just, I was attempting to make the statement that I know that we don't comment on public comment or respond, but or react. I think they want a response. I just wanted to apologize, and I wanted to say that I wanted to publicly say that May 18th,
President Robinson gave me, charged me with a role to make sure that I am following up with Black Wall Street and to make sure that all of the questions were answered from the board and comments. And I did send an email, but I was going to get with President Robinson to make sure that I fulfilled the duties and responsibilities that were given to me. I don't want anyone to feel slighted. So I was going to do that. My apologies in advance. And also I was going to follow up with Mrs. Gavin Green, Mrs. Gavin Green, to make sure that I did respond to the last email and all of the questions and comments. And so I just wanted to say that publicly, because I was the person, I must take responsibility that was charged with being a liaison between the board and Mrs. Gavin Green. So I wanted to make sure that I'm doing that, not saying that I did or did not, but I wanted to just make sure that I can publicly say that I was the liaison, and I'm going to make sure that I've done my due diligence.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. We were worried. I was worried about you for a second because we normally don't lose you, and I knew you couldn't have known that you had dropped off the call. So thank you for wrapping up your
I
comment.
thought I was jamming. I said so much better the first time. I love you. I don't know what happened. It was a conspiracy, Mr. Tripoli.
President Robinson,
Yes, sir.
before she left off, and she asked the question, had anyone ever been in a Church of God in Christ service as it related to Dr. Fisher. But I wanted to put this on the record that Dr. Fisher
I know he is a Baptist. I know.
the pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church. Thank you.
Lord.
Point of order in Treasurer Creighton's words. Okay, so next we have myself. And so I'm going to try not to be too lengthy. So there are many members of the community that know me professionally and may know me on social media, but don't know me personally. And there have been statements made on social media in our meetings questioning what my agenda is and where my passion and my heart lies. So for those that do not know me, I will just give you a little bit of information. I am committed to the uplift of disenfranchised populations. And I have shown that in every position that I've worked in. I have worked with victims of domestic violence, low-income families, prostituted women. And at this particular point, I have stepped up to work with our education system because it's a need. That's the type of person that I am. So I would not be sitting in this position if my passion and my purpose was not to bring Benton Harbor area schools back to its full potential and achieve greatness. I do not attach my name to anything that I do not believe has the potential to exude excellence and greatness. So I would not be sitting here consciously in this seat days and hours for 5 hours, 4 hours at a time in committee meetings, on the phone with my trustees about concerns, speaking to my superintendent, if my goal was not the best benefit and uplift for Benton Harbor area schools. So I want that to be very clear and noted for the record, as some of my trustees like to say. So one thing I've noticed that we do in our community is when we have a difference of opinion on a particular issue or topic, or do not agree with a time frame for which or how something is being dealt with, we choose to try to disregard that person as a good leader. And I think that that is professionally unethical and irresponsible that we do that. So I am standing firm on the statement that I made on behalf of the board. And at this particular time, it would be premature for us to take further action, as I stated previously. So I just want to make sure that people are clear as it relates to what my intentions and my purpose for being in this role as president of the board is. As stated last week, I just want to give congrats to all of our staff that were promoted into new positions. I'm excited to see what Benton Harbor Area Schools does with our leadership from our Tigers and all of the new staff that we have hired. I want to say that I am extremely proud of our executive team and Dr. Townsville for their efforts that they make for the benefit of Benton Harbor Area Schools. And I am proud of my board for the progress that they are making in every meeting, in our retreats, and the efforts that we are making to be stronger and more united as a board and as a full team for Benton Harbor Area Schools. So thank you for your efforts. team. Trustee Buchanan, you gotta give me 1 second. Thank you for your efforts to our executive team, our superintendent, and our board. We do appreciate our committee members and stakeholders that tune in with us each night. And that is the finalization of my board comment. Trustee Buchanan, did you have a question or a comment?
No, just a comment. I'm gonna let you know that when you break the rule, you can't break the rule. This board has a strong rule, and that board, I'm the oldest son on the board, I think, maybe right there, but you're doing a great job, and continue to do what you're doing, because you can't, boy, you can't listen to comments. They talk about me, I don't even care. So be good to each other. And Mr. Triplett, soon as we hang up, I need you to call me. I hope you ain't muted. I hope you ain't muted.
We can hear you, Trustee Buchanan. He can hear you. All right.
I want to talk to him.
Okay, he'll call you after the meeting.
Okay,
So at this
goodbye.
particular time, next on the agenda, we have adjournment. I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay.
I make a
It has
motion
been-
that we adjourn.
Okay, so, all right, wait a minute. So it was moved by Secretary Triplett. There were quite a few voices, but the one that I heard most clear was Trustee Rockette Martin with the second. Are there any questions or concerns regarding adjournment? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yep, I mean, yes.
Okay. Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
I have a question coming. I'm just kidding. Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Creighton, you all right with me, girl. You all right with me. At the end of the week, yeah.
and Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion
All right.
carried. This
Thank
meeting
you.
is adjourned.
Meeting is officially adjourned
I'm
at
sorry.
9:01 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.